Chapter 87. Qi Mingxue appeared gentle on the surface, but deep down, she thought to herself, as expected of the female lead. She didn't close the door properly when she left. She didn't think that she would be so lucky to run here. However, she had already snatched her biggest cheat. She wanted to see if the female lead without a cheat was still as awesome as she was in the book. Mingxue, what are you talking to her about? She's an ingrate. Mother Gu grabbed Qi Mingxue and left. Aunt, cousin is alone. Why do you care about her? Don't you know what she said yesterday? I won't have a daughter like her in the future. Aunt, no matter what, we're still family. Cousin is just young and insensible. Please don't be so calculative with her. Their voices gradually faded into the distance. Shisheng lowered his head and played with the iron sword in his hand. Suddenly, there was a shadow in front of her. She raised her head slightly and met a pair of cold eyes. As the male lead, Songshi was very handsome. However, after seeing men like Chu Tang and Lu Qingyun who were so beautiful that they angered both men and gods, she felt that Songshi was at most slightly better looking than the average person. You're not welcome in my team. Leave now. Songshi's voice was just like his personality, cold and without a trace of emotion. Oh my god. What did Qi Mingxue say to Songshi? Why is he chasing me away? Boss, she's just a young lady. Before Su Jie could finish speaking, Songshi swept a cold glance over him. Su Jie didn't dare to continue. Shisheng tugged the corners of his mouth into a smile. He picked up the bag containing White Tiger from the ground and softly called out his name. Songshi, Sir Song, Tizke. Songshi frowned slightly. This girl was indeed very strange. Letting her leave the team was the right choice. When Shisheng passed by Father Gu and Mother Gu, he paused. Mr. Gu, may I have a few words with you? Father Gu looked at Mother Gu, asking her silently. Mother Gu turned her head away in disgust. Father Gu then walked out of the supermarket with Shisheng. Mr. Gu, can you tell me who my biological parents are? Shisheng asked directly. Hearing this, Father Gu's face changed. Xiaonanyu, where did you find out? The original owner's mother, Cheng Su, was Father Gu's first love. Father Gu didn't know who her father was. At that time, it was Cheng Su who brought her to his house when she was just born and begged him and Mother Gu to adopt her. Mrs. Gu wasn't happy at the time, but Cheng Su took a large sum of money, so Mrs. Gu agreed. For more than 10 years, Cheng Su seemed to have disappeared from the face of the earth. She was never seen again. Cheng Su was from the capital. Could it be that she had to run to the capital? To get to Beijing, they had to pass through B City, and there were no flights now. Shisheng had no choice but to put this matter aside for now. Since it was a side mission, it must not be easy to complete. Shisheng left the supermarket and found an RV nearby. There was still a zombie inside. Shisheng got the zombie out of the RV before following behind Qi Mingshue's group. Qi Mingxue and Songshi both knew about this, but they couldn't stop her from following, could they? After leaving a city, Songshi's team lost 5 people. The others also died. Originally, there were more than 30 people, but now there were only 10 people left. 4 cars were reduced to 2 cars. When they left the city, they met Yu Liang and Fatty. Both of them had awakened their abilities. Unfortunately, Yu Jing and the 2 girls were dead. Songshi let the 2 of them join the team. When they saw Shisheng at the back, they were surprised that this girl was still alive. 13th day of the apocalypse. The team left a city and headed to B City. 20th day of the apocalypse. The team met the army that was trying to rescue the survivors. 25th day of the apocalypse. The team was trapped in a village because of the heavy rain. Shisheng stood in front of the window and looked at the heavy rain outside. His gaze was a bit obscure. After this heavy rain, the zombies would evolve. They would no longer be slow, but their speed would be the same as ordinary people. Many zombies would also become zombies with abilities. Nuclei would also start to appear in the zombies' brains. Small black flowers slowly bloomed on Shisheng's fingertips. It was time for her to kill zombies. With nuclei, her ability should be able to level up a lot faster. Her current ability could make zombies ignore her. Driving away zombies would only work on 1 or 2 zombies. It wouldn't work on more than that. Ah! She turned into a zombie. Screams suddenly sounded from the house next to Shisheng's, followed by chaos. This kind of situation had happened dozens of times on the road. Many people were bitten or scratched, but they didn't want to say anything. Host, the rain is helpful to your ability. Why did the system warn her? There must be a conspiracy. It was really just a simple reminder. Does the host have a persecutory delusion disorder? Although Shisheng felt that the system was plotting something, she still packed her things. She put White Tiger into her backpack and pushed open the door. While everyone's attention was on her, she quickly ran to the other side of the village. She didn't notice that after she left, Qi Mingxue also followed her. Shisheng walked to a place where there was no one around and slowed down, allowing the rain to fall on her body. The rainwater brought with it wisps of black aura. When it landed on her body, the black aura immediately disappeared into her body. When the black gas entered her body, she could feel that her ability became active and was constantly swimming in her body. Roar! A zombie rushed out of the house next to her and pounced on Shisheng. Shisheng leaned to the side and stabbed her iron sword into the zombie's brain. In the darkness, more and more zombies appeared. Shisheng found that she couldn't use her ability. Her ability was very active in her body, but she couldn't use it at all. Damn, the system is such a fraud. Shisheng could only slash with her iron sword. Wave after wave of zombies, as if all the zombies in the village were gathered here. Bang! The explosion was very sudden. Shisheng only felt that the light in front of her suddenly became dazzling. In the blink of an eye, she was sent flying. Her ears were full of buzzing sounds. The rain fell on her body and it was as painful as corrosion. Damn it! Which idiot plotted against I? When Shisheng landed, she caught sight of a figure standing on a rooftop in the distance from her peripheral vision. Then everything in front of her turned black, as she was plunged into complete darkness. Shisheng was awoken by the cold. The moment she opened her eyes, she was met with a frighteningly pale face. A pair of pitch-black pupils were staring intently at her. There was a bit of stiffness and confusion in those pupils. Damn, a zombie? No, except for the pale face that looked like it was smeared with powder. The other parts of this guy were exactly the same as a human. Even the clothes he was wearing were normal. The surrounding light outlined the figure in front of her. It was a 17 or 18-year-old boy. His face was very delicate, like a doll in a display window. He didn't show any desire to attack, so Shisheng could only stay still. You. What the hell is this? Ho ho. Shisheng. Damn, it's really a zombie. The zombie was lying on top of Shisheng. At this time, when he saw that she was awake, he clumsily got up from her body and reached out to her with a stiff face. Ho ho. Shisheng thought for a while, and tried to put her hand in his. The zombie immediately held her hand and pulled her up. His hand was very cold, as if it had been frozen in a freezer, but it wasn't stiff. It was just like a normal human's hand. The zombie pulled her hand to his mouth. Shisheng was startled, but the zombie tightened his grip and forced her hand to his mouth. Chapter 7. Chapter 88. F***ck. 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 This guy wants to eat me. Where's I's sword? I want to hack it to death. Just as Shisheng was looking for her sword, something cold and soft brushed her fingertips. She shivered and looked at the zombie with a strange expression. He was licking her fingertips and frowning slightly. It seemed that he didn't like her fingertips. Ho ho. She didn't understand. Speak human language. Ho ho. The zombie pulled her hand in front of her and roared anxiously. Shisheng looked at her hand. Well, it was clean and beautiful. It was great. Ho ho. The zombie stretched out his finger and poked her index finger. His stiff eyes flashed with expectation and desire. Shisheng also poked him with her finger. What are you doing? Can you poke me to death? Because he didn't know how to express himself, the zombie anxiously walked around Shisheng twice and then ran away. Shisheng. What kind of new game is this? I don't understand the world of zombies. Only then did Shisheng observe the place she was in. It wasn't a big cave. She definitely couldn't have fallen into it because the ceiling was solid. So it was that zombie that brought her in? How come zombies are so smart? How scary. Her backpack and iron sword were placed in a corner not far away. She guessed that the zombie had picked them up. White Tiger was sleeping next to her. She called him several times, but he didn't wake up. Fortunately, he looked normal. She wondered if he was going to awaken his superpower. Animals could also awaken superpowers, but the probability was much lower than that of humans. The things in her backpack were still there. The food was soaked in water, so it was definitely inedible. Qimingxue. How dare he plot against her? Shisheng packed up her things and walked out of the cave. She was dumbfounded. Why the hell is this cave on top of a cliff? Fuck. Can that zombie fly? Shisheng didn't know if zombies could fly, but she soon found out how the zombie came up. Damn it, this guy could teleport. He suddenly appeared beside her. If it weren't for her strong willpower, she would have been scared off the cliff. Ho ho. The zombie handed the white flower to Shisheng, pointed at her finger, then pointed at the flower. Shisheng. I don't understand at all. She reached out to take the little flower and asked tentatively, for me? The zombie immediately shook his head. Ehe. If you don't give it to I, why are you giving it to I? Do you want me to see why the flowers are so white? Believe it or not, I will let you know why the flowers are so red. Flower? This guy couldn't be talking about her special ability, right? Shisheng hesitated for a moment, before using her superpower to condense a black flower at her fingertips. As soon as the flower appeared, Shisheng was shocked. Before she could see it clearly, the flower disappeared. Ho ho! The zombie grabbed Shisheng's hand excitedly. Shisheng. Did she see wrongly just now? This zombie actually absorbed her superpower? Damn, is this zombie going to ascend to heaven? Shisheng condensed another flower. The zombie opened his mouth and swallowed it. The cold tip of his tongue even licked her fingertips. Shisheng was so shocked that goosebumps appeared all over her body. Ho ho! The zombie tilted his head and looked at her hand, then at her. Ho ho! Shisheng found that the zombie's face was not as pale as before after eating her superpower. Of course, there was still a certain distance between him and a human, and his pupils were not as stiff as before. Her superpower had a nourishing effect on zombies? That shouldn't be the case. If that was the case, those zombies would have torn her apart when they sensed her superpower. Shisheng thought about the flower that she had seen before. She turned back to the cave and condensed a flower on her fingertips. Seeing this, the zombie wanted to pounce on her and bite her, but Shisheng immediately moved her hand away. Ho ho! The zombie was a little angry and his voice became a little sharper. Shisheng was afraid that the zombie would pounce on her and bite her, so she pointed her iron sword at him and quickly sized up the flower. The flower was twice as big as the one she had condensed before, and its color was darker than before. Was this an advancement? Oh ho! The zombie looked at Shisheng's fingertips helplessly. He looked quite pitiful. Shisheng's face darkened. She actually felt that a zombie was pitiful. She must be crazy. Ho ho, Shisheng. So in this world, she had to be affectionate with zombies? Shisheng condensed a few more flowers and fed them to the zombie. She couldn't help it. She couldn't fly. She was on a cliff, so she had to lower her head. The zombie seemed to be insatiable. Shisheng didn't dare to use her superpower after using half of it. Ho ho, you bastard. Take I down or you can't eat anymore. The zombie seemed to understand her. He stared at her fingertips in disappointment, then pointed outside. This zombie wanted to eat her superpower, so she wasn't worried that he would bite her. Moreover, this guy seemed to have a high IQ compared to other zombies. The zombie's teleportation seemed to be unstable. Shisheng asked him to go up, but he took her to the bottom of the cliff. Of course, Shisheng was more willing to believe that he didn't understand her at all. After all, he was a zombie. She could understand. Understand my ass. I don't want the Man vs. Wild series, okay? What's your name? Ho ho. Why are you different from other zombies? Ho ho. Do you know where this place is? Ho ho. I take back what I said about him having a high IQ. Other than ho ho, this guy doesn't know anything else. I don't have a zombie language system, okay? Shisheng fed the zombie some superpower every day. She took the zombie to wander in the forest. There were no zombies here, not even animals. She didn't have enough food. By the time Shisheng left that godforsaken place, the zombie had already returned to normal. It could even speak a few monosyllabic words. Eat. Shisheng was speechless. This guy only knows how to eat. When I's superpower is awesome, I'll stuff you to death. Shisheng walked out of the cliff and walked for a long time before he found a village. There weren't many zombies in the village. Shisheng cleared out a room and found some food. But there wasn't much to eat. Shisheng didn't know how much time had passed. Anyway, the water and electricity couldn't be used. It would take at least 1.5 months. Shisheng also found some clothes. Since the heavy rain, the weather had been getting colder. She gritted her teeth and endured it. She put White Tiger on the sofa. The zombie's face was stiff. He stared at White Tiger and scratched the sofa with his fingertips. He was a little irritable. Shisheng quickly fed him some superpower. Damn it. Although this zombie wouldn't attack her, he would attack White Tiger when he was irritable. Hidden mission. 1,000 miles together. You gave this mission so casually. What's with 1,000 miles together? You want me to save the world? Mission target. Qianli. Help him recover his memory, avoid the ending of the plot, establish a new world order, and maintain world peace. Qianli, very good, another villain boss. I have a conflict with the villain boss, right? Maintain world peace? Do you think I look like someone who can save the world? Chapter 8. Chapter 89. Qianli. The biggest villain in the novel, the only zombie emperor. His appearance was no different from a human's. If he didn't say that he was a zombie, no one would think that he was one. He led the zombies to attack the bases several times. Other than the female lead's base, all the other bases were destroyed. In the end, all the humans banded together under the lead of the female lead and successfully captured him alive. In order to study how the zombie emperor was different from other zombies, he was locked up in a laboratory for research. He didn't know how the research went, but the process was definitely not good. In the end, he self-destructed and the entire laboratory was destroyed. Shisheng took a few glances at the zombies that were staring at her. This guy was the future zombie emperor? This Bao Bao was actually feeding a zombie emperor. She even wanted to lead him to establish a new world order and maintain world peace. What a rotten joke. This Bao Bao refused. Shisheng's eyes turned and he made a decision. Change into this. You're not allowed to attack White Tiger or I'll beat you up. Shisheng threw a clean set of clothes onto Qianli. Hee. Qianli looked at White Tiger and then looked at Shisheng. Hee. When Shisheng finished changing, Qianli was taking off his shirt. The youth's body was still very young and there wasn't much to see. However, the crisscrossing scars on his back made Shisheng's heart skip a beat. Those scars seemed to be from a long time ago, and they covered his entire back in a hideous manner. There was a strange tattoo on his shoulder blade. Just as he was about to take a closer look, Qianli put on his shirt and reached out to take off his pants. Shisheng, who hadn't shifted her gaze away, caught sight of it. Shisheng. What an eyesore. He calmly looked away and waited for Qianli to put on his clothes before Shisheng walked over. You'll be on guard tonight. Call me if anyone comes. You're not allowed to attack anyone. She wasn't sure if this guy would be able to remain calm after tasting human blood. Qianli looked at Shisheng in confusion and nodded after a while. Shisheng woke up in the middle of the night. In a dangerous world, she would not sleep too soundly. Qianli was standing beside her, staring straight at her. Shisheng lifted the blanket and sat up, snappily saying, "What are you standing there for? Are you trying to scare me to death?" He hug. Qianli opened his arms wide. Shisheng. She silently stood up and reached out to hug Qianli. His cold and hard nails brushed against her neck, and Shisheng almost raised his sword and slashed at him. However, Qianli seemed to know that Shisheng did not like him touching her with his nails, so he quickly moved his nails away, not allowing them to touch Shisheng's body. He hugged her quietly for a while, then let go of her Shisheng in satisfaction, and sat down by the window. Shisheng face-bombed. What the hell was he raising? He didn't know how he got into this habit. Initially it was just a short hug, but the more he hugged her, the longer he hugged her. Virum. The sound of a car engine came from outside, and Shisheng walked to the window and looked outside. She had chosen a house near the entrance of the village, and it was a taller one. She stood by the window and could see the entrance of the village. Several military vehicles drove into the village, and they stopped at the entrance of the village. Then a few people got out of the vehicles and walked into the village. There was light in the vehicles, and Shisheng could see that they were wearing military uniforms. Shisheng looked down at Qianli. You're not allowed to make a sound later, understand? If Qianli did not make a sound, he would look exactly like a human. It had something to do with her ability, but it had more to do with him. After all, when she saw him, he did not look much different from a human. Those people quickly cleared Shisheng's house. She took out a flashlight and shone it downstairs, indicating that there were people there. The people downstairs stood there for a while without making a sound. They did not come in either, and turned to head to the other houses. They used less than half an hour to clear the village. Then, a few people ran over and knocked on Shisheng's door. Shisheng had Qianli wait on the third floor while he went down alone. What's the matter? Shisheng did not open the door and shouted through the door. It's a girl. The people outside muttered. I wonder how many people are in your house? If there aren't many people, we would like to let some elderly, women and children stay here. The other houses are not good at keeping warm. Don't worry, we will exchange food with you. Shisheng opened the door and shone his flashlight at the people outside. They were 2 soldiers. Where did you come from? The people outside did not expect such a young girl to open the door and were stunned. After a while they said, we were sent by B City to pick up survivors. We've already picked them up and are preparing to go back. B City. You can use the first and second floors. You're not allowed to come up to the third floor. Shisheng opened the door. Exchange with crystal cores. The 2 people's gazes became strange. Only the military knew about the crystal cores. Normal people did not know about it. This young girl, we have to report to the captain first. Okay. Shisheng slammed the door shut. The 2 people's mouths twitched. One of them stayed here and watched while the other went to call their captain. The captain was not as surprised as the other 2 that Shisheng knew about the crystal cores. Other than the military, many superpowered people also knew that there were crystal cores in the zombies' heads that could help them improve their superpowers. In the end, they exchanged 10 level 1 crystal cores for their people to stay on the first and second floors. After that rain, crystal cores would form in the zombies' heads. Crystal cores had just appeared, and many of the crystals in the zombies' heads were still in the formation stage. Therefore, there were not many level 1 crystals. Level 1 crystals were not many, so there were probably no level 2 crystals at all. Shisheng met some zombies when he came out, but he did not find a single crystal core. It was enough to show that the probability of finding a crystal core was very low. 10 crystal cores were not a small number for the current situation. Shisheng took the crystal cores to the third floor. There was a door on the third floor that could be closed, so she was not afraid that someone would come up. She learned from those people that it was already the 49th day after the apocalypse. Shisheng absorbed one, but it did not work, so she stopped. Her superpower was strange, so it was normal that she could not absorb the crystal cores. When White Tiger woke up, it would be the perfect time for it to absorb the crystal cores. But she did not know when White Tiger would wake up. It had been sleeping for so long. The storyline did not mention that animals could awaken superpowers, so Shisheng was not sure whether animals could awaken superpowers longer than humans. Asterisk, please vote. Even if it's on the shelf, you have to love me. Sob. What happened to not abandoning me? My recommendation votes dropped a lot yesterday. My heart hurts. You don't love me anymore. I didn't remind you when I saw someone say that it was on the shelf. To be honest, I won't take the blame. Almost as soon as I started writing, I told you that this book would cost money. Chapter 90. In the middle of the night, there was a commotion downstairs. There were even people banging on the door. It was very noisy. Shisheng frowned and sat up. Qianli was still huddled by the window. When he saw Shisheng move, he immediately moved over and stared at Shisheng's fingers. Damn it, he wants to eat again. Shisheng accepted his fate and fed the future zombie king milk. He ruffled his hair in annoyance and walked towards the door with the iron sword. Qianli followed him for 2 steps, but he seemed to have thought of something and slowly retreated back to the window. Shisheng stood at the door and listened for a while. There was only noise and no screams. It shouldn't be someone turning into a zombie. He then opened the door. The person outside the door saw a figure standing in front of him in the dark. That person screamed and took a few steps back. Her scream attracted the attention of others. Someone used their superpower to create a fireball and threw it in Shisheng's direction. That person probably just wanted to use it as a light source, so the fireball stopped a meter away from Shisheng. It was just enough for the people downstairs to see her clearly. It's a person. I was scared to death. I thought it was a zombie. She already said that there was someone on the 3rd floor. You guys just had to smash her door. Now we're in trouble. We were just worried. Worried about what? Zhao Yan, don't think that no one knows what you're thinking. The crowd became noisy again. Shisheng rubbed his forehead and said angrily, "What are you guys trying to do?" They didn't rest at night, and still had the energy to make a fuss. He didn't know if they were bored out of their minds. Is there a seat upstairs? If there is, let us go up. The woman who threw the fireball immediately said arrogantly. The people here were divided into 3 groups. A few of them were led by this woman. Another group was led by Zhao Yan's woman. And the rest were people who had nothing to do with the matter. Some were crying in despair, and some were complaining that they were too noisy, but did not dare to say anything. Zhao Yan was also considered an important supporting female character. She was the male lead's right-hand woman, the daughter of Zhao Jing's uncle. Before his uncle died, he had asked Zhao Jing to find Zhao Yan and protect her. Before the apocalypse, Zhao Jing had been adopted by his uncle. After so many years of upbringing, he naturally had to repay him. When he met Zhao Yan on the way to B City, he had to protect her well. But this Zhao Yan, who coveted Songshi's beauty, naturally didn't like the female lead who could enter Songshi's eyes. In the end, she was turned into a zombie and killed by Zhao Jing. In the end, Zhao Jing didn't end up well either. Since Zhao Yan was here alone, she probably hadn't met Zhao Jing and the rest. These thoughts were filtered out in just a few seconds. She leaned against the door frame and crossed her arms. Why should I let you go up? If it weren't for the crystal cores, she wouldn't have let these people in. These people still want to take a mile after taking an inch? Why should I? This is a public place. What are you trying to do by occupying it all by yourself? Do you see so many people down there? Zhao Yan was a little annoyed. Before the apocalypse, she was also the daughter of a wealthy family, and had everything that she needed. Even after the apocalypse, she was taken care of because of her ability. But now she was squeezed together with so many people. Not only was the smell bad, but these people were also crying. If she had known, she wouldn't have quarreled with her cousin. The person who arranged for them said that there were people staying on the 3rd floor, and that they couldn't go up. She had asked around and found out that there were at most 2 or 3 people upstairs, and one of them was a little girl. At first, she didn't want to go up. But in the latter half of the night, she couldn't take it anymore. She didn't want to go back and see that woman. When she didn't hear much noise upstairs, she went to smash the door upstairs. What does it have to do with me? In this world, people could kill for a piece of bread. Zhao Yan was angered by Shisheng's attitude. I have to go up today. Let's go. As she spoke, she walked up the stairs. Shisheng's eyes darkened. The iron sword in her hand suddenly slashed towards Zhao Yan. Zhao Yan didn't notice that Shisheng had a sword in his hand. She didn't expect Shisheng to slash at her. She was caught off guard. The iron sword slashed across her shoulder and cut off a strand of her hair. Shisheng turned his wrist and pressed the iron sword against Zhao Yan's neck. The cold touch instantly penetrated into her bones. Zhao Yan's heart was filled with fear. Don't move, my sword is very sharp. I only need to use a little bit of strength and your neck and head will be separated. The originally noisy space suddenly quieted down. The girl's voice was very light, but it was full of malice. Dang dang dang. Footsteps could be heard coming from the stairs on the 2nd floor. A few shadows came up the stairs. Some of them had a flashlight with them. They first scanned the surroundings before the light from the flashlight landed on the stairs on the 3rd floor, where Shisheng was. What's going on? The person who asked was the captain who made the deal with Shisheng. His gaze first swept across Shisheng and then landed on Zhao Yan. His expression was extremely ugly. Zhao Yan, what are you doing? Didn't I warn you not to go near the third floor? He knew that the girl wasn't an ordinary person. He had repeatedly warned her not to go up to the third floor. The girl spoke concisely and didn't look like someone who would cause trouble. Looking at the current situation, it was obvious that Zhao Yan was the one who started it. Captain Chang, can't you see that she's the one who's threatening me with a sword? Zhao Yan gritted her teeth. Her eyes were filled with anger, but she didn't dare to move. Xiaonan. Shisheng looked behind Chang Xian. Qi Mingxue was wearing a leather jacket and looked very cool. She walked out from behind Chang Xian with a worried expression. Why are you here? You left without saying goodbye last time. We were all very worried about you. Let go of Zhao Yan and we can talk about it. Vulsh *T. Worried that I'm not dead? This was the woman who had ambushed her last time. Now she actually dared to pretend to greet her. Didn't she feel disgusted? Miss Qi, do you know this girl? Chang Xian's eyes lit up. This girl looked young, but she didn't seem like a girl at all. She's my cousin. Qi Mingxue said softly. I'm sorry, Captain Chang. My cousin has a bad temper. She didn't mean to cause trouble. I'll talk to her. Sorry for the trouble. *CK. She dared to defame me in front of I and directly threw the blame to I. Female lead. You're quite shameless. Chang Xian frowned slightly. Qi Mingxue was saying that this girl started it. She did seem to have a bad temper. He could feel it when they were talking earlier. He looked at Shisheng. Shisheng was still holding the sword against Zhao Yan, but his expression seemed gentler than before? Was it his imagination? Qi Mingxue, get your cousin to let go of me. Zhao Yan shouted when she heard Qi Mingxue. Shisheng was surprised. Zhao Yan knew Qi Mingxue? They should have met by now. Why was Zhao Yan still here? *Cherub, who had been following the novel, reported the number below. Chapter 91. Cousin, let go of Zhao Yan first. Qi Mingxue said gently. Qi Mingxue's public image had always been gentle and kind, so even when Zhao Yan shouted at her, she did not show any anger. Shisheng rolled his eyes and looked at Qi Mingxue innocently. Cousin, didn't you say you wanted to teach her a lesson? Qi Mingxue's face changed. Cousin, what are you talking about? I didn't know you were here. Qi Mingxue. Zhao Yan's scream interrupted Qi Mingxue and her face turned green. What else do you have to say? I knew you were up to no good. How dare you put on an act in front of Brother Song, you shameless woman. Zhao Yan's voice became louder and louder, and Qi Mingxue's explanation was drowned out by her. Zhao Yan was here because she had a conflict with Zhao Jing because of Qi Mingxue. In a fit of anger, she brought a few girls who were close to her here. She already had a conflict with Qi Mingxue, so when she heard Shisheng's nonsense, she could not think rationally anymore. Idiot. Shisheng scolded, but Zhao Yan was too focused on scolding and did not hear him. Shisheng put away his iron sword and returned to the door of the third floor. He raised his chin and said to Chang Xian, Captain Chang, you have to keep your word. If your people come near here, don't blame me for unsealing this sword. Chang Xian was speechless. Unsealing the sword? Was this girl crazy? Qi Mingxue watched as Shisheng closed the door. Zhao Yan was no longer restrained and immediately pounced on Qi Mingxue. The scene immediately became chaotic. Some tried to stop the fight, while others tried to mediate. However, in the end, it developed into a war between women. Qi Mingxue's face and neck were scratched a few times by Zhao Yan's men. When they finally left, Qi Mingxue looked extremely pathetic. Back at the camp, Songsher hadn't gone to bed yet. Seeing Qi Mingxue in such a sorry state, his expression changed. What's wrong? Songsher went up to greet him. He was fine when he went out just now. Why did he come back in such a sorry state? Qi Mingxue's eyes reddened. It's nothing. I just met my cousin. She's still alive? Songsher was a bit surprised. She had suddenly disappeared that day. He had thought that she had died long ago. Who would have thought that she was still alive? When he thought of that woman, he felt a little uncomfortable. Yes, I wanted her to be with us, but who knew that she would accuse me and drive a wedge between me and Zhao Yan? Qi Mingxue's voice was very soft, filled with endless grievance. There was no need to exaggerate. What happened then was enough to make Songshi hate Shisheng even more. Qi Mingxue saw the disgust in Songshi's eyes and let out a sigh of relief. She had read the whole story and knew how attractive Gu Nan was as the female lead. Although Songshi wasn't in the story, it was hard to say that he wouldn't be attracted by Gu Nan's female lead halo. Qi Mingxue thought that Shisheng was the female lead, but she was the real female lead now. Shisheng returned to the third floor. His eyes flashed as he felt that something was wrong. He looked towards the window and saw that the future zombie king who had been squatting there before was gone. Gone. Shisheng quickly scanned the entire third floor. He was indeed gone. F***ck. That B***tch actually ran away from home. F***ck. If she found him, she definitely wouldn't let him eat. What was there to find? It was dark outside. She had no idea where that B***tch had gone. It was impossible to go out and look for him. She didn't have any special means of communication with Qianli. Who the hell knew where he had run off to? Shisheng hugged White Tiger and waited on the third floor until dawn. That B***tch still hadn't come back. Shisheng felt even more frustrated. She had lost her target this time. Looking for a person in the apocalypse was like looking for a needle in a haystack, let alone a zombie. The people outside had already started making preparations. It wouldn't be long before they set off. Shisheng stood by the window and watched. In the distance, she could see Qi Mingxue and Songshi standing together. Zhao Yan was standing a bit further away and was currently talking to Zhao Jing. From time to time, she would glance in Qi Mingxue's direction. Songshi's team had arrived in B City a long time ago. This time, they had received a mission to pick up these survivors. Plot Sama was still as awesome as ever. He was rushing to send her to the female lead. Meow. The white tiger in her arms suddenly barked. Shisheng lowered her head, just in time to meet the white tiger's sparkling eyes. This B***tch had been in a coma for more than 20 days. What kind of ability did it awaken? What ability do you have? Shisheng squeezed White Tiger's paw. Meow. White Tiger stuck out its tongue and licked the back of her hand. Its sparkling cat eyes flashed with joy. However, no matter how Shisheng asked, White Tiger didn't show any abilities. Shisheng tossed and turned for a while. White Tiger meowed and ate a few crystal nuclei. There was no other change. It must have an ability to absorb crystal nuclei. But this B***tch seemed a little stupid. The dumb white tiger circled around Shisheng's feet, meowing ingratiatingly. The team downstairs was ready to set off. Chang Xian asked 2 soldiers to call for Shisheng. Shisheng naturally refused. The future zombie emperor had run away from home and hadn't returned. If she left, where would she go to find that B***tch? Based on how much he liked her ability, he would probably come back. Shisheng waited here for 3 days. On the third night, as she was resting with her eyes closed, she felt someone's gaze on her. The moment she opened her eyes, she was met with a pair of lifeless eyes. The moment their gazes met, a bit of life appeared in those eyes. Before she could see clearly, she was hugged. Hee. The zombie emperor seemed to be very happy. He hugged Shisheng and spun her around, making hee sounds from his throat. Meow. White Tiger was awakened and meowed fiercely. It arched its body and was about to attack Qianli. Roar. Qianli quickly roared back. He even used teleportation to jump to the other side of the room. White Tiger immediately chased after him. It made hoo-hoo sounds from its throat, and the fur on its back stood up. A rusty machete appeared out of thin air and shot towards Qianli. Qianli carried Shisheng and dodged again. Following that, Shisheng saw White Tiger continuously throw things at them. Those things appeared out of thin air and were strange. There were all kinds of things, even zombie corpses. White Tiger had been running outside often these days. Sometimes, she would forget about it because she was playing with her ability and didn't pay much attention to it. Who knew that this B***tch had a spatial ability? Seeing that White Tiger was throwing more and more zombie corpses, Shisheng immediately shouted for it to stop. How many zombie corpses did this B***tch put in its spatial ability? What was even more strange was, why did it keep the zombie corpses? Was it keeping them for appreciation or as food reserves? No matter which it was, Shisheng couldn't accept it. Damn it, he couldn't understand the thoughts of a mutated beast. Roar! This low growl came from the corner of the room. Shisheng turned to look, and saw that the zombies that had been lying on the ground had actually shakily stood up. Perhaps because Qianli was here, the zombies had shrunk back into a corner in fear. A few of them had even curled up into a ball. Shisheng. These zombies were quite cute. No, these zombies were King alive. Please vote. Chapter 92. White Tiger's space could actually store living zombies. In this novel, only Qi Mingshue's space was able to store living things. Other people's space ability was unable to store living things. Zombies were also alive. Unless they were corpses, it was impossible to store them in her space. But now White Tiger's space could actually store living things, should she be happy or sad. This bastard actually used it to store zombies. Damn it, thinking about the place she used to store food in the future. She would store zombies. The heartache was unbearable. Qianli chased the zombies away and stared at her finger. Shisheng clenched her hand and put it behind her back. Running away from home and still wanting to eat. Eat my ass. I want. Qianli went behind Shisheng and reached out to grab her hand. He stuffed it into his mouth, his cold tongue swirling around her fingertips. Shisheng pulled her hand back and ignored Qianli's puppy-like pitiful expression. Where have you been these few days? Don't eat if you can't tell me. It was obvious that the future zombie king did not understand what Shisheng meant and kept circling around Shisheng. Shisheng. Why should she talk to a future zombie king with no intelligence? It was simply dropping her IQ. Shisheng only noticed the changes in Qianli when the sun rose. His face was completely normal, but his eyes were still lifeless. When he was not looking at Shisheng, his eyes were lifeless and eerie, looking very scary. Shisheng realized that Qianli and White Tiger could not coexist peacefully. It was the type where one did not like the other and the other did not like the other. Shisheng found a broken car in the village and drove it unsteadily on the road. Qianli could hear her speak and could say some simple words. It was obvious that his IQ was much higher than before. He must have gone to level up during the few days he disappeared. She did not know what level he was at now. She still had to go to B City. B City was the largest base in the area. Helicopters should have been gathered not long after the apocalypse began. She could only find a helicopter there, and then go to the capital to find her mother. If she were to travel on land, she didn't know how long it would take her to reach the destination in her current condition. On the cracked rural road, more and more abandoned cars were piled up. Broken limbs were mixed with mud and blood on the ground, and the air was filled with a nauseating smell. Shisheng couldn't drive any further after reaching this point. After putting everything into the White Tiger's space, Shisheng got out of the car with Qianli and walked forward. There was a long queue in front of her. Shisheng had to walk for a while before she could get past it, but damn it, the front is full of zombies. There were also a few people who were killing zombies. They were blocked in one place. Other than killing, they could only be dismembered by the zombies. The people on the other side seemed to have noticed Shisheng as their muffled voices could be heard. They had to shout a few times before Shisheng could make out what they were shouting about. Run! She thought they would ask her to save them. Seeing that the Shisheng didn't move, the person shouted a few more times. The sound attracted the zombies, but no zombies noticed that there was more food here. There were too many zombies over there. Unless Qianli chased them away, those people would not be able to escape. Wait for me here. Shisheng placed the White Tiger in Qianli's arms and turned to walk towards the people. Being surrounded by zombies, their powers were almost used up. What awaited them was death. When they saw people appear, they were happy. However, when they saw that it was a young girl and a young man, their hopes were dashed again. No one could save them. One person was caught by a zombie and dragged into the zombie crowd. He screamed twice and died. While they were shocked by this sudden change, another 2 people were caught and dragged into the zombie crowd. In just a few seconds, they lost 3 people. Bang! The purple circle of light exploded in front of them, and the airflow swept across. The zombies in front of them were overturned, and a large crater was formed at the place where the explosion occurred. The zombies standing at the edge of the crater fell into it, and there was a sizzling sound of thunder around the crater. This lightning powers? Since when did the lightning ability become so powerful? How many powers did it take to create such a huge crater? Just when they were confused, they saw a small purple ball fall from the sky and land not far from them. With a bang, it exploded, and the zombies in front of them were directly blown away by the air current of the explosion. Get down! Their movements could be considered fast, but they still felt a very strong force shock through their bodies, causing their internal organs to become numb from the shock. Your reaction is quite fast. A light voice sounded from above their heads. One of the boys raised his head and saw the young girl from before. She was tossing a purple ball in her hand. There were flashes of lightning in the ball, and it looked like a purple crystal ball. It was extremely beautiful. Was that the thing that exploded just now? Does it feel good to be in close contact with zombies? Do you want to be in love with zombies? Give birth to a baby? Give birth to a baby? What a joke! The three survivors helped each other up. What did you throw? There were so many zombies and they all died just like that. Heavenly lightning. The three of them were stunned. Heavenly lightning? What the hell was that? Did this young girl have a Chinibu disease? At this moment, the system was also completely dumbfounded. It had no idea how she had succeeded in the previous plane's heavenly tribulation. She actually stored all those lightning bolts? It couldn't analyze the substance of the ball that contained the lightning bolts. The host wanted to go to heaven. But it also proved that the host had an interspace, and it was a very high-level one that was bound to the host's soul. Host, how many did you store? Not much, just about 10,000. Shisheng didn't hide it this time. That stupid system must have guessed that she had an interspace. If it still couldn't figure it out, she would really doubt its IQ. 10,000, not much. Why don't you go and bomb the Milky Way? These lightning bolts are from another world. If you use them recklessly, you will be punished by the plane's rules. The system tried to calm down. These lightning bolts were used to pass the tribulation. Pass the tribulation. They contain the power of the heavenly Tao. A plane wouldn't allow other heavenly Tao powers to exist. It was like a lion that had divided its territory. If you suddenly ran into someone else's territory, would they let you go? It might be fine to use it once or twice, but if you used it too many times, you would be found out sooner or later. If it was serious, you would be obliterated. If it wasn't serious, you would be expelled from this plane. Oh, then I'll use it less, Shisheng answered seriously. I'm not asking you to use it less. The three of them didn't know why the young girl was distracted. They looked at each other. Not only was this girl Chinibu, but she was also a little dumb? But this couldn't erase the fact that she was violent. Look at those holes. Asterisk pleading votes. Chapter 93. The three people Shisheng saved were all students from the same university. They were on their way to B-City's safe zone, but they ran into zombies in front of them. Who knew that when they ran back, there would be zombies behind them as well? There was no way to escape. Among the three, the leader was called Qingyu. He was quite handsome. The other one was very tall and thin, called Lin Feng. His nickname was Crazy. There was also a fatty called Xiaopang. There are a lot of zombies in front. Shisheng only picked what he wanted to hear, and ignored the rest. Qingyu nodded. Otherwise, we wouldn't have run back. They didn't know what was going on, but there were a lot of zombies in front of them. Is B-City in this direction? Without a GPS or a map, she wondered if she had taken the wrong path. Otherwise, why would they take so long to reach their destination? It should be. Qingyu wasn't very sure. Shisheng. He saved a piece of trash. So she only saved them to ask for directions? Hashtag the host's brain circuit is really too weird. Hashtag Qingyu broke out in a cold sweat when Shisheng looked at him like he was looking at a piece of trash. Did he say something wrong? This girl had a strange ball on her body that was comparable to a bomb. He didn't dare to provoke her. Shisheng turned around and walked away. Qingyu and the other two looked at each other and called out to Shisheng. Miss, we also want to go to B-City. Why don't we go together? This girl was dressed very cleanly and had such a powerful weapon. It would be very safe to go with her. I don't work as a free bodyguard, Shisheng said indifferently. The three people. How confident was this girl? Okay, she had the right to be confident. The three people were a little disappointed, but they didn't continue to pester her. Instead, they went to clean up their dead companions' bodies. I thought we could go to the safe zone together. Qingyu looked at the simple mound, his expression somewhat downcast. These people were all his classmates. Before the apocalypse, they had only attended classes together. They couldn't be considered good friends. But after the apocalypse, they had walked together and formed a revolutionary friendship. Boss. Lin Feng patted Qingyu's shoulder and comforted him. We still have to go. Don't be too sad. The apocalypse is too cruel. Little Fatty cried. I want to eat Jinji's braised pig trotter's roast duck. F***K, you're still thinking about eating at this time. You're so useless. Lin Feng slapped the back of Little Fatty's head. I'm afraid I won't have the chance to eat it in my lifetime. Fatty didn't quarrel with Lin Feng. Instead, he stared blankly ahead. Lin Feng's expression changed as he murmured, there will be a chance. She didn't know if she was saying it to herself, or to Little Fatty and Qingyu. The three of them adjusted their mentality and said their final goodbyes to their classmates. No matter what, they had to live on for themselves, for their families, and for those who had lost their lives protecting them on the road. The three of them thought that Shisheng had left, but she was still standing in the traffic jam in the distance. They didn't know what she was talking about, but she looked very excited. In front of her stood a young man holding a white cat. The white cat bared its fangs and cried out. It kept scratching the young man, but the young man held it tightly. Shisheng reached out to grab the white cat, but the young man suddenly took a few steps back and threw the white cat away. He looked at Shisheng innocently. Then, they saw Shisheng pointing at the young man for a few seconds. She seemed very angry, and finally went to pick up the white cat angrily. Shisheng found a car nearby that could still be driven, but it didn't have much gas. Shisheng looked at the cars on the ground, and was a little worried. She always changed cars before, because she didn't seem to know how to get gas from other cars. The omnipotent host finally has something she doesn't know how to do. The system is very happy, but it's nothing to be proud of. Shisheng walked around a car. She looked at Qianli, who was staring at the white tiger. Both sides were in a state of war. It was impossible to count on a cat and a zombie. She looked into the distance and saw Qingyu and the other two. Her eyes turned and she waved at them. The three of them eagerly ran over. I'll take you to B City. Before they could say anything, Shisheng said, but you'll have to take care of the daily necessities on the way. She didn't like to be with other people, but she still had to maintain world peace. She couldn't do it alone. The three of them seemed to have good temperament and didn't lose their humanity because of the apocalypse. The three of them, who didn't know that they were being treated as underlings, happily agreed and quickly got to work. The three of them were weak. If they encountered zombies, they could only wait for death. Shisheng was a walking ammunition depot in their eyes. The damage he could do was definitely their biggest guarantee. Because there were too many people, the car that Shisheng chose was abandoned and replaced with an off-road vehicle. However, the off-road vehicle was blocked by a few cars. They needed to clear the cars in front of them before they could drive out. Just as they were about to clear the car, the off-road vehicle suddenly disappeared. The three of them were shocked and looked like they had seen a ghost. Honk honk! Suddenly, a car horn sounded in front of them. The three of them looked up. The off-road vehicle had appeared in front of them without them noticing. The young man was gone. Shisheng was standing beside the driver's seat with his hand on the window. The sound came from there. Boss, does she have a space power? Lin Feng swallowed. She didn't come over just now. Qingyu frowned and shook his head. Before the car disappeared, he had looked at her side. She hadn't left. However, the young man beside her had been standing beside her the whole time. Are you guys leaving or not? Shisheng was getting impatient. She pressed the horn furiously and shouted at them. The three of them came back to their senses. They ran to Shisheng and got into the car. Sitting in the front passenger seat was a very good-looking young man. Previously, they found it strange that this young man was unbelievably clean. At this time, the weather was very cold, but he was only wearing a white long-sleeved sweater, black casual pants, and a pair of sports shoes. He was dressed like an ordinary student. "Well, do you have a space power?" Lin Feng couldn't help but ask Shisheng as the car drove steadily. "No." Lin Feng looked at Qingyu. Qingyu shook his head slightly. Lin Feng stopped asking. Shisheng looked at them through the rearview mirror. They were just sitting there quietly. They didn't talk much and looked very calm. "The one with the space power is a white tiger. Look, it's that cat," Shisheng said. Obviously, the three of them didn't expect Shisheng to say it himself. After a moment of surprise, they looked at the white cat lying beside Shisheng. WTF. This cat actually had the ability to manipulate space? How could an animal have such a precious power? Their world view seemed to have been refreshed. Asterisk, when do you want to update? Chapter 94. Along the way, Qingyu and the other two were completely shocked by Shisheng. Other than the purple ball that could explode, she also had an iron sword. That iron sword could cut through zombies like it was cutting through carrots. After being shocked for a while, they got used to it. The only thing they didn't understand was the young man. He didn't do anything and had a disgusted expression when he ate. It was as if he wasn't eating precious food, but something disgusting. Every time they saw that expression, the other three had the urge to beat him up. Food was the most precious thing in the apocalypse. Many people starved to death and many people killed for food. They lost their conscience and humanity. However, they realized that he didn't seem to have a high IQ, so they had to suppress that urge. Luckily, they didn't travel for long. B City wasn't far from them. After walking for about 3 days, they saw the gate of B City's safe zone. It was already the 56th day of the apocalypse, and the safe zone had a clear system in place. "Are you guys leaving or following me?" Shisheng asked the three people in the back seat while letting White Tiger pack up. She had observed them for the past few days, and found that the three of them were good people. Even when they saw that she had a lot of food, they didn't have any other thoughts other than drooling. However, it was up to them to decide whether they wanted to stay or not. "Miss Gu, what do you mean?" Qingyu's heart raced when she heard Shisheng's question. "I need people to work for me. If you guys are willing to stay, then you're one of us. Maybe in the future." Shisheng paused and didn't continue. She glanced at Qianli. Qianli turned back and grinned at Shisheng. "Hungry?" Shisheng was speechless. "Hungry my ass. Do you have any other skills besides eating?" Qingyu and the other two talked for a while, and expressed their willingness to stay. After interacting with each other for a few days, they admired her from the bottom of their hearts. She was a little girl, but she was calmer than them. Moreover, she was the one who saved them. Even if it was to repay her for saving their lives, they wouldn't reject her. "Boss, since we're on the same side, can you tell me what kind of sword you have?" Lin Feng immediately changed his words and shamelessly asked the question he had been wanting to ask for a long time. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the iron sword could cut through iron like mud. "The sword of justice," Shisheng said solemnly. "Will depend on it to save the world." Lin Feng was speechless. She sounded so serious that he almost believed her. "Is it really okay for you to be so childish?" Shisheng told the three of them a few rules. As her people, they had to follow her rules. But to Qingyu and the other two, this rule was actually very simple. It could be summed up in 4 words. Listen to her. Get out. Shisheng got out of the car with White Tiger in his arms. After Shisheng got out of the car, Qianli immediately opened the door and got out. There were many people lining up outside the safe zone waiting to enter. Shisheng and the others were already at the back of the line. They had to stretch their necks to look at the entrance of the safe zone. The people here were very cautious and vigilant. Some were looking at them greedily, but most of them were filled with despair. This was the most common type of person after the apocalypse. Even if they entered the safe zone, they would not be able to survive for long. "How long is this line going to take?" Little Fatty ran back from the front. "The line in front is very long. Some of them have been here for 4 to 5 days and still haven't entered." "There's no passage for mutants?" Sheng frowned slightly. No matter which safe zone it was, there would always be a special passage for mutants to be checked. Ah, I forgot to check. I'll go take a look, little Fatty said and ran towards the safe zone. Sheng was speechless. Was it the right choice for her to keep the three of them here? B City was such a large safe zone, so naturally there would be passageways prepared for ability users. Her three new underlings were all ability users. Sheng didn't want to expose her strange ability, so she and Qianli were only stripped of their clothes and checked to make sure they didn't have any wounds before being quarantined for 24 hours before being allowed to enter. It was also at this time that the three of them realized that their new boss had never used her ability. Previously, she was too violent. She did not even need to use her ability to kill zombies, so they had forgotten about it. Because of this, the three of them were even more determined to follow Sheng. While Sheng was locked up in the little black room, the three underlings had already found a place to stay. They also knew everything about the safe zone. Now that the safe zone used crystal nuclei to trade, they had killed many zombies along the way and had a lot of crystal nuclei. Therefore, when Qingyu was looking for a place to stay, she also found a 3-bedroom suite. Sheng realized that other than the glutton little fatty, Qingyu and Lin Feng were also very useful. Boss, should we register a mercenary group? Lin Feng said excitedly. The missions that a mercenary group takes will be higher level than normal mutants. With Boss's ability, I think it won't be a problem for you to take on an S-rank mission. The thing I asked you to find out, did you find out? Sheng ignored Lin Feng and looked at Qingyu instead. Qingyu nodded. Yes, Qi Mingxue is a dual ability user. She is the vice captain of the Hurricane Mercenary team. She has a good reputation in the safe zone. Dual ability. Sheng was surprised. In the storyline, Qi Mingxue was only an ice ability user. Yes, she was originally an ice ability user. Later on, she awakened a healing ability. This ability is even more precious than a space ability. If normal people are caught by zombies, they won't turn into zombies if they are treated in time by a healing ability user. When she said this, a yearning look appeared on Qingyu's face. If there were more healing ability users, there wouldn't be so many people caught by zombies and turned into zombies. Seeing the expression on Qingyu's face, Sheng sighed in his heart. This child needed more brainwashing, so that he would not be soft-hearted when doing things for her in the future. Sheng knew very well what Qi Mingxue's healing ability was. The spring in her space had healing abilities. However, in the storyline, she didn't make it public. Why now? Boss, why are you asking about her? Lin Feng didn't understand. She is now a celebrity in the safe zone. I heard that her ability is already at level 3. Oh, I want to find some entertainment for her. Sheng narrowed his eyes and smiled. That smile was sinister and made the other three feel disgusted. How did Qi Mingxue provoke their boss? I'm hungry. Qianli moved to Sheng's side and stuffed her hand into his mouth. When they first saw this scene, the three of them were disillusioned. What a good-looking young man. In the end, he was an idiot. Sheng brought Qianli back to his room. Qianli was only half full after almost using up all his energy. He hugged Sheng and rubbed his face against hers. Then he let go of her and sat in the corner by the window. Sheng sighed and carried him to the bed. You don't have to keep watch. Hug, Sheng. Asterisk, to be honest, it's so sad that none of you voted. Chapter 95. In the end, Sheng followed Lin Feng's suggestion and registered a mercenary team. He used a very arrogant name. Fight me if you can't, to be honest. The three of them didn't want such a silly name. However, their rejection was useless. Sheng had been collecting experience points for the past month and put the name, Fight Me If You Can, under the Hurricane Mercenary Group. Of course, her target was definitely on the list. Everyone was very curious about this mercenary group. The information of mercenary group members was not allowed to be disclosed to the public except for the officials of the safe zone. Therefore, other than the officials, no one knew who this Fight Me If You Can was. According to the mission time on the mission board, they either accepted missions in the middle of the night or early in the morning. They were completely different from the others. Have you ever seen such a strange mercenary group? No way. Moreover, this mercenary group had caught up with the Hurricane mercenary group in just a month. How could they not be curious? However, the truth was, Qing Yu and the other two were afraid that their silly mercenary group would be beaten up once their name was revealed. In order to avoid people from accepting missions, they used all kinds of methods. Was it easy for them? Boss, there's a SS-level mission. Do you want to accept it? In the past, the missions that appeared were all S-level. This was the first time a double S-level mission appeared. What mission? I'm not sure. They said that they would only tell you if you accept it. This mission is directly issued to the mercenary groups on the ranking list. It won't appear in the mission hall. No. Shisheng shook his head. In this situation, the officials were probably playing tricks. But the rewards are very good. Lin Feng felt that it was a pity. Lin Feng made it sound as if she had mistreated them. Do you lack food or crystal cores? Lin Feng shook his head. They didn't lack these things at all. Recently, they had collected a lot of resources when they were out on missions. They didn't know how big White Tiger's space was, but it could always be filled. The only bad thing was, White Tiger liked to fill the space with zombies. Even if Lin Feng stopped it, it would still do it happily. Fortunately, the things it took out from White Tiger's space didn't seem to be contaminated by zombies. Go and find out when they're leaving. Huh? I thought we didn't accept it? What does it have to do with you? Lin Feng was speechless. He had a feeling that something bad was about to happen. In the past month, they had learned a lot from Shisheng. Don't be soft-hearted. Mind your own business. Don't pay attention to what other people say. The last sentence was Shisheng's original words. Until now, Lin Feng could still remember Shisheng's expression. There was mockery in his disdain. But there was more contempt and disgust. To be honest, he couldn't describe that feeling. The mission was highly confidential. Lin Feng spent a lot of effort to find out about it, but it was only some basic information. The target of the mission was D County. It was led by the Army of the Safe Zone, and everyone had signed a confidentiality agreement. The Hurricane mercenary team also participated in this mission, but not many of them went. Song Shi, Qimingxue, Zhao Jing, Su Jie, and a large dark-skinned man. The rest of the mercenary groups were clearly elites as well. Shisheng sat in the off-road vehicle and watched those people get into the military truck from afar. What was there in D County that made people from the safety sector go through so much trouble? Lin Feng had prepared a map beforehand, so Shisheng arrived at D County earlier than the rest of the team. D County was an ancient county. Before the apocalypse, it was a 5A scenic spot. When the apocalypse happened, it was the peak tourist season, so the number of zombies in D County was definitely unimaginable. When they were close to D County, Qianli suddenly became irritable. The nails that he had retracted suddenly grew, and a primitive roar came from his throat. Meow. The White Tiger's sharp cry sounded in the car. Zombified. Qingyu reacted the fastest. She cried out and was about to attack Qianli. Shisheng was stunned by Qianli's sudden change. When he heard Qingyu's cry, he reacted and shouted at the three people behind him. Don't attack him. Bang! Crash! Just as Shisheng was shouting at Qingyu and the others, Qianli smashed open the car window and ran towards D County. He was very fast and even used teleportation. Before Shisheng got out of the car, Qianli had already disappeared. F***CK. He ran away again. Raising a naughty child was much better than raising a zombie emperor. At least the naughty child would say hello before running away. Boss. The three people in the car stared blankly at Shisheng. What's going on? That young man was actually a zombie? They actually lived with a zombie for so long. They couldn't think of anything at all. As you can see, Qianli is a zombie. Shisheng calmly said as he looked at the walls of D County. There was no nervousness or anger from being found out that she was raising a zombie. They would find out about this sooner or later. If they couldn't accept it, then it was better to let them leave as soon as possible. Qingyu had obviously been trained well by Shisheng in the past month. She was the first to accept it. Qianli is a zombie. Why is he different from other zombies? Their boss was so powerful that she could even tame zombies. They had to follow her. So this was all the fault of blind worship. There were already level 3 zombies, but those zombies were just a little better at using their abilities. Their bodies weren't much different from normal zombies. But Qianli was different. He was completely like a normal person. How is he like a zombie? Then he's also a zombie. Qingyu. Boss's answer always made people speechless. Boss, you actually let a zombie live and eat with us. Lin Feng reacted and howled. He hugged Qingyu and shook him with a face full of pain. A zombie. That's a zombie. When I think of living with a zombie under the same roof for a month. Do you want to die? Lin Feng's reaction was a little out of Shisheng's expectations. His focus was completely wrong. As for little fatty, he only had eyes for food. There was a lot of good food to eat with Shisheng. Furthermore, his ex-boss had already accepted it. What was there for him to worry about? Lin Feng stopped howling and said with a face full of determination, Boss, don't worry. We won't tell anyone that your boyfriend is a zombie. Qingyu nodded in agreement. Yes, yes. Boss, don't worry. Qianli is pretty good. He won't attack us. Actually, zombies aren't that scary. Little fatty squinted his little eyes and nodded. Yes, Qianli doesn't eat much. I thought those novels where my girlfriend is a zombie were fake. So it's real. Boss, you're amazing. Who told you that he was Ai's boyfriend? What were you guys thinking? Shisheng felt that he was thinking too much. These three were able to maintain their humanity in the apocalypse. They were obviously not normal people. Boss, your boyfriend just went in like that. Aren't we going to chase after him? What if he takes a liking to a female zombie? God damn it, I already said that he wasn't Ai's boyfriend. What kind of joke is this about taking a liking to a female zombie? Asterisk 1300 plus recommendation votes is even better. Chapter 96. Shisheng did not enter D County. Other than the first time, Qianli's situation happened again. She knew that he was going to level up. After leveling up, he would come back to find her. Therefore, she completely ignored the chattering of the three beasts behind her. The sex life of zombies. To be honest, if she could, she really wanted to throw the three of them into a pile of zombies. What kind of F***king topic was this? Shouldn't you guys be discussing how she, as a human, can make zombies listen to her? That kind of awesome topic? I don't really understand how these humans think. The people from B City's safety zone came slowly. Shisheng and the others waited for half a day before a few green trucks stopped outside D County. The leader was someone they knew, Chang Xian. They split up and entered D County together. Shisheng followed them from a distance. Crazy, did you notice that these zombies don't seem to attack us? Qingyu pushed Lin Feng. After being reminded by Qingyu, Lin Feng looked around. The zombies around them were following them from a distance. None of them attacked. The two of them looked at the girl walking in front of them. She looked like she was strolling in the back garden. The only explanation was that she was the one. The two of them looked at each other and pulled little fatty closer to Shisheng. After entering D County, Chang Xian split them up. Shisheng naturally followed Qimingxue. Qimingxue took the initiative and had a cheat. She was the first person to reach level 3. However, Songshi was not bad either. The two of them cooperated very well. They killed zombies with half the effort. Soon they arrived at a building. It looked like some kind of research institute. They cleared out the zombies layer by layer. There were not many people, so no one cleaned up the battlefield. Shisheng and the others followed behind and cleaned up the battlefield. They did not leave a single crystal behind. These people cleaned up until they reached their target. When they took out the things, they found that the crystal cores were gone. Before they could figure out what happened, they found that the place they just cleaned up was filled with zombies again. It was as if the zombies were refreshed regularly. Why are there so many zombies? Didn't you leave anyone behind? Su Jia looked at the group of people behind them. Those people looked at the people around them. What they meant was, didn't you leave anyone behind? No, I thought you did. You didn't leave anyone behind? They had all thought that the other party would spare their men, but in the end, not a single one of them remained. This was awkward. F***ck. Su Jia's doll-like face was filled with rage. Cut the crap. Hurry up and kill them. Songshur coldly glanced at the others and took the initiative to release a few lightning bolts. Just as they were about to kill their way out, a level 4 fire-breathing zombie appeared out of nowhere. The level 4 zombie also summoned a lot of underlings. Songshur and Qi Mingxue were unable to kill it even after working together. Everyone was trapped in that building. Shisheng also ran into trouble after he left the building. First, she was chased by a level 4 fire-breathing zombie. Her ability was probably not at level 4, so it didn't have much effect on level 4 zombies. Fortunately, it was still able to affect it. The few of them barely managed to escape. Shisheng wanted to blow up the zombie, but it was too close to the male and female leads, so the system stopped her. She didn't run far before she ran into the level 4 zombie again. Moreover, Chang Xian was leading a group of people. She didn't know what was wrong with Chang Xian, but he actually brought people to her. There were too many of them, and she wasn't alone, so she was forced to mix with them. Now, she was forced to return to Qi Mingshue's building. There were many zombie corpses in the hall, but they were all piled up together. A fire ability user was burning them. Qi Mingxue and Songshur weren't there, but the doll-like Su Jie was. It's you. Su Jie recognized Shisheng the moment she came in. Shisheng coldly swept a glance at him, causing Su Jie to stop in his tracks. Her gaze was too cold, as though it was made up of some kind of mechanical thing. It made people's hair stand on end. It was even colder than their captain's gaze. Qing Yu and the others knew that Shisheng was in a bad mood right now. Whoever touched him would be unlucky. They all pretended not to see anything. Some looked at the ceiling, some looked at the floor, some looked at the ceiling, and some looked at the floor. Those who wanted to eat. Chang Xian did a head count before turning to Shisheng. Captain Gu, your team doesn't seem to have accepted a mission. Why are you here? As the culprit, Chang Xian wasn't apologetic at all. Instead, he was aggressive. Shisheng was furious now, so his tone naturally wasn't pleasant. What? Has D County been contracted? Only those who have accepted a mission can come here? That's not what I meant. Chang Xian was embarrassed, but he immediately said seriously, Captain Gu, can you tell me why you're here? The mission this time was extremely confidential, and D County had long been confirmed to be destroyed, so no one would come here. Chang Xian was a member of the military, so he naturally had the right to access official information. He knew that she was the captain of the Bufu mercenary group. In addition, they had interacted before, so he was suspicious of Shisheng. What if I don't say it? Shisheng looked at Chang Xian provocatively. When Shisheng was angry, he was definitely the kind of person who was more unreasonable than others. He wouldn't give anyone face. In his words, he earned his own face. He didn't need others to give it to him. Chang Xian was speechless. They're also a mercenary group? How rude. Newborn calves aren't afraid of tigers. Hearing the conversation between the two, someone began to mutter. They must have some skills to be able to come here. Which mercenary group have you heard of having such a good-looking girl? Captain Chang just called her captain, right? People who had been through D County knew best how many zombies there were. They all expressed that they had never heard of such an arrogant girl in any mercenary group. Some people had seen the people behind her before, but they never communicated with others. No one knew which mercenary group they belonged to. Captain Chang, which mercenary group is she from? Even if the people who accepted this mission didn't know their names, they had seen each other face to face. Many of them had even cooperated with each other before. At this time, a girl and 3 young people suddenly appeared and came here safely. Whether it was out of curiosity or something else, these people wanted to know who they were. If you're not convinced, let's fight. Chang Xian's voice was a bit loud. The person who asked the question was stunned. If you're not convinced, let's fight? Captain Chang, I don't think I'm not convinced. He was just asking which mercenary group they were from. If you're not convinced, let's fight? F***CK. No way. They were from the, if you're not convinced mercenary group? The mysterious mercenary group that was close to the Hurricane mercenary group in a month? She's the captain of, if you're not convinced. She looks like 17 or 18 years old. Are you kidding me? Captain Chong, are you joking with us? I don't care if you believe it or not. I don't believe it. Although the name, if you're not convinced, sounded a bit Chinibyu, their completion rate was 100%. How could they be a few young people? And the leader was a girl. Someone said weakly, but they arrived here safe and sound. Asterisk please vote, monthly votes, recommendation votes 1200 plus more. Chapter 97. It only took half a month for the Hurricane Mercenary team to become famous. After that, they occupied the first place on the leaderboard for many years. As for the Sick Mercenary team, they were already on the leaderboard when they became famous. No one had ever heard of them before. This could only mean that the missions they took could only be completed by a single mercenary team. That was the only way they could avoid contact with other people. However, the rewards for these kinds of missions were never high. Very few mercenary teams would accept them. Most of them were unorganized superpowered people who formed temporary teams or completed them alone. Taking these kinds of missions and not letting the mercenary team survive showed that they were quite capable. The past few months of living in the apocalypse had taught them one thing. They should never underestimate women and children. Chang Xian took a deep breath. Captain Gu, this mission requires absolute confidentiality. I hope you can give me a clear answer. If you refuse to answer, then I can only kill you right here. He gestured to the people around him. Immediately, people surrounded Shisheng and the others. The others retreated to the side and watched as if it had nothing to do with them. Captain Chong. Qingyu hurriedly stepped forward. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was pulled back by Shisheng. Boss, they have more people. Let's lower our heads first. Qingyu knew that Shisheng was furious. However, there were so many superpowered people here. They were at a disadvantage. Lower our heads? Shisheng snorted. His face was full of arrogance. It's always others who lower their heads to me. Since when did it become my turn to lower my head? Qingyu was speechless. Come on, boss, can't you pick a time to be so childish? Shisheng's voice wasn't low. Not only did Chang Xian hear it, but the people outside also heard it. The people outside whistled. Obviously, they were amused by Shisheng's fearless behavior. They had seen many girls like this. Did they think they were still in the pre-apocalypse world, where they could make people revolve around them just because they had some money? This was a world where strength was the most important thing. This mysterious sick mercenary team was just SOSO. However, more people thought that there was someone behind these young people. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Ah! Run, zombies are coming in. A sudden voice broke the strange atmosphere. The voice came from the second floor. Captain Chong gave up on talking to Shisheng and looked up. A few figures dashed down from the second floor. Qi Mingxue and Songshi were among them. Sure enough, wherever the female lead goes, there will be trouble. Behind them was a zombie that could spit fire. Shisheng frowned slightly. This zombie was different from the one from before. Holy **T. How many level 4 zombies were there? Go to the basement. Quick, let's go. They couldn't deal with level 4 zombies at all, so they could only run. The basement was opened by Chang Xian, and it was also opened by his men. Shisheng was still forced to run along. Close the door. But there are still people who haven't come in yet. F***CK, we're all going to die if we wait any longer. Hurry up and close the door. The soldier controlling the door looked at Chang Xian. Chang Xian looked at the people outside who couldn't enter in time, and nodded with difficulty. The heavy metal door closed, isolating them from the outside sounds. Rather than a basement, it was more like an underground laboratory. The emergency lights here could still be used. Although the light wasn't very bright, everyone could see clearly. What's going on? How did a level 4 zombie get in? We clearly checked. There's no way to get in from upstairs. The people below all looked at the people coming down from the second floor. At this time, only 4 people came down from the second floor. Qi Mingxue and Songshi were naturally among them. One of them turned pale and said with lingering fear, It's Wang Tuesday. F***CK, I knew we shouldn't have let him come. He can't do anything right. Obviously, Wang Tu didn't have a good reputation. As soon as that person said that, the group of people immediately cursed angrily. Shisheng was still surrounded by Chang Xian's men. He was too obvious a target. Qi Mingxue saw him at first glance. Shisheng looked at Qi Mingxue without fear. He even curled the corners of his mouth provocatively at her. That smile was malicious, but his eyes were calm and cold. Qi Mingxue felt her scalp go numb, as if she was being stared at by a huge beast. Shisheng looked away first. The moment he looked away, Qi Mingxue let out a heavy sigh of relief. She almost couldn't breathe just now. Is it safe here? This is a laboratory. What is that, a human body? Come over and take a look. What are those things? Holy shit. Chang Xian wanted to stop them, but it was too late. Everyone looked over. The place was very big. There were many machines. There were several glass jars with many tubes on them. The jars were filled with a yellow liquid. In the liquid was a person. It wasn't accurate to say that it was a person. Half of his face had turned into a zombie, but the other half was still that of an ordinary person. It looked like a zombie and a human forcibly put together. What is this? It's so disgusting. Didn't this place collapse at the beginning of the apocalypse? Did these things exist before the apocalypse? Oh my God, don't tell me these people made these disgusting things. Shisheng's eyes swiveled as she surveyed the group before looking at Chang Xian with schadenfreude. TSK, Captain Chang'e. What are you going to do now? Silence them? Oh, what a pity. You don't have as many people as they do. You can't beat them. His voice immediately attracted everyone's attention. They all gathered around Chang Xian. Captain Chang, shouldn't you give us an explanation for these things? We risked our lives to come here to get the so-called important documents, but this is what you showed us. Captain Chang, please explain. Are those things out there really made by the government? Captain Chang. Chang Xian glared at Shisheng. I don't know what these things are either. I'm just following orders. Don't focus on these things. We should focus on how to get out. Captain Chang, if you don't know what these things are, how did you know there was an underground laboratory here? Shisheng continued to find fault with him. Chang Xian continued to glare at him. He gritted his teeth and answered, when I came here, the higher-ups gave me the information. I have the building plans of this place. If you have the building plans, why didn't you give them the building plans before? Captain Chang, I think you want them to be the vanguard and clean up this place for you. The mission you gave them was just a cover-up, right? Gu Nan, don't be an alarmist. I don't know anything. Chang Xian roared at Shisheng angrily. He was a soldier. He had to obey the orders of the higher-ups. Besides, this was for the sake of humanity. You're angry because you're embarrassed. That means I'm not wrong. Besides, are they brainless? Am I right? They don't know how to think for themselves? Do you think they're pigs? Asterisk 1,200 recommendation votes. Chapter 98. After Shisheng finished sowing discord, he immediately stopped talking and let those people argue. Chang Xian's people all went to help Chang Xian, so naturally, Shisheng was free. Boss, you're amazing. Qing Yu silently gave Shisheng a thumbs up. Did the zombies outside really come from the ZF? God, it's so scary just thinking about it. Boss, give me something to eat. I need to gain some weight and calm down. Little Fatty stretched out his chubby hand in front of Shisheng. Fatty, your last sentence is the main point. Lin Feng, who had seen through someone, immediately exposed him. But this place does look very strange. Shisheng threw the backpack to Little Fatty. There was nothing inside, only the white tiger. Boss, it's not like we can't get out, right? Lin Feng began to worry again. With Boss here, we can definitely get out. Qing Yu blindly worshipped him. Don't worry, Little Fatty. Aren't you afraid that you'll die from eating alone? Give it to Boss. Lin Feng thought about it and agreed. There was nothing that Boss couldn't do. Clearly, they had forgotten that when they first met, their omnipotent boss didn't even know how to pump gasoline. Shisheng didn't eat much, and only drank a bottle of milk. While those people were arguing, Shisheng took the opportunity to walk around the laboratory. There weren't many things here, But they weren't messy. It proved that these people didn't panic when they left. Shisheng stopped in front of a blackboard with a few pieces of A4 paper pasted on it. Just as he was about to reach for it, a pair of hands beat him to it. Shisheng looked at the hands. The owner of the hands was Song Shi. Gunan, what's the point of sowing discord between them? Song Shi's words were cold. Of course. Shisheng smiled and nodded. I'm using facts to prove how stupid they are. Song Shi. Does this woman have antisocial tendencies? Sure. Cousin Yu, why are you here? Qi Mingxue walked over from afar with a surprised look on her face, as if she had just seen Shisheng. Then she lowered her head sadly, as if Shisheng was bullying her. Sure. I am also a shit. Shisheng rolled his eyes. Don't call me that. If you want to suck up to me, you have to line up first. PFFF. Qing Yu, who just happened to come over, heard this and laughed in a very unkind manner. To be honest, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that his boss was seriously ill. Qi Mingshue's face instantly turned ugly, but she still pretended to be stubborn and said, Cousin, even if you don't like me, you don't have to humiliate me like this. When did I humiliate you? Did you hear that? Qing Yu played along and shook his head. His boss didn't like this girl, even though he thought she was quite pretty. But if boss didn't like it, he couldn't like it either. That was how unreasonable they were. Cousin Yu, Shisheng suddenly grinned. Qi Mingxue, do you want to die? It's a luxurious package with a 20% discount. This is a rare opportunity. Do you want to experience it? Qing Yu. Boss, can you be a bit more normal? You were chatting when you suddenly asked if she wanted to die. Look at how scared she was. Gunan. Shisheng finally couldn't stand it anymore and called out to her with a murderous aura. He didn't like this Gunan the first time they met, and he still didn't like this Gunan the second time they met. I'm just joking. Why are you guys so unhumorous? Shisheng's face was full of smiles. Speaking of which, Qi Mingxue, you should keep some of your things tight. If I were you, I definitely wouldn't take them out. After all, those things are good for your abilities, right? Qi Mingxue didn't understand what Shisheng was talking about at first, but in the end, how could Qi Mingxue not understand? He was talking about her personal space. She knew. How could she know? She had clearly taken it so long ago. Qi Mingxue panicked. Even if she had read the whole story, she knew how powerful the female lead's halo was. Moreover, before she transmigrated, she was just a normal person. Cousin, what are you talking about? Qi Mingxue said with a pale face. Then she pulled Song Shi. Sure, I'm not feeling well. Let's go over there and rest for a bit. Song Shi didn't take Shisheng's words to heart, but Qi Mingshue's behavior made him take it seriously. This story was slow to get popular, and the male lead was a very high-profile character. Therefore, until now, Song Shi's impression of Qi Mingxue was still at the stage of admiring her. Shisheng's words were undoubtedly a warning to Song Shi. He would unconsciously pay attention to Qi Mingxue, and he would definitely find something unusual. Qi Mingxue was afraid that Shisheng would say something else, so she pulled Song Shi away. After Qi Mingxue left, Qing Yu came up from the background. Boss, look at this. He found a notebook from somewhere and flipped to a page. The paper was very old, and the words were a bit blurry. 1995, July 25th. Torrential rain. This is already the 6th day of the torrential rain, and disasters have appeared in many places. I have no choice but to postpone our meeting. I really hope to see him soon. 1995, July 30th. Cloudy today. I heard that we had a very strange corpse in the research lab. As for why it was strange, my colleagues couldn't explain it. That corpse seemed to have been there for many years, and it was closely guarded. I'm really curious. 1996, August 27th. Cloudy I joined a new research team. The research project is that mysterious corpse. The higher-ups made us all sign a confidentiality agreement, and no one is allowed to say a word about it out of the research lab. 1996, October 11th. Sunny is here. 1997, October 22nd. Cloudy I saw the corpse that we signed a confidentiality agreement for. I don't know how to describe it. It was very strange, and it made people feel very uncomfortable. However, the people in the research lab were very excited. I saw their expressions, and it was a strange feeling. The diary was intermittent, and it didn't record much about the corpse. However, every time it was described, it would be described as strange. Then, the author of the diary would use the words very uncomfortable or depressed to express his feelings. There was also a mention of a person who should be the author's favorite. Similarly, there wasn't much description, usually only a few words, and he was replaced by him. In the last few pages, there were even mottled bloodstains. 1998, July 6th, Rainy, I am pregnant, and I'm very happy. Maybe I'll have a cute son soon. Well, maybe a daughter. Whether it's a daughter or a son, I'll give them the best things in the world. 1998, July 18th, Rainy, I think they're all crazy. 1998, October 19th, Sunny, I want to escape. 1998, October 25th, Rainy, he'll help me, for the sake of the child. 1998, November 2nd, Sunny, I am ready. I can't let his child and me. The diary ended here. However, there was a name at the end that made Shisheng stunned. Cheng-su, Gunan's mother. Shisheng suddenly felt a little depressed. After all, this body belonged to the original female protagonist, and the background of this world must be very rich. No wonder she would activate a side mission. Asterisk 1200 recommendation votes plus more 1800 recommendation votes plus more next time. Chapter 99. Shisheng put the notebook away. This wasn't part of the storyline, so she had to collect it herself. The corpse mentioned in Cheng-su's notebook might be the source of this disaster. Cheng-su must have escaped, given birth to the child, and sent it to Father Gu. According to Father Gu, Cheng-su's family shouldn't be poor, after all. She had given Mother Gu a large sum of money. A large sum of money in that era was definitely not a small sum. But who was the father of this body? And Cheng-su was from the capital. Why would she appear in a research institute in this small county? Shisheng raised the palm and looked at it for a moment. The dim light couldn't penetrate the palm, so she couldn't see anything special. Maybe, this body had some other secrets. After all, this was a plot in novels. Qi Mingxue stood in the corner, staring at Shisheng with an ugly expression. Seeing him staring at the palm in a daze, she had a sudden impulse. Kill him. She thought that if she stole his golden finger, he would lead a miserable life, just like her, the original supporting female lead. But that wasn't the case. He seemed to be leading a good life. Every time she saw him, she felt like a joke. Her aura could never compare to him. Mingxue, what are you thinking about? Songshi called out a few times, but Qi Mingxue didn't respond. He couldn't help but raise his voice, but there was more doubt in his heart. Nothing. Qi Mingxue shook her head frantically. Songshi frowned, his thin lips pressed into a line. His gaze was deep and dark. Qi Mingxue smiled, but it seemed a little forced. I'm fine. I'm just a little sad to see my cousin looking at me with such hostility. Don't think too much. She's the one who doesn't appreciate your kindness. Qi Mingxue saw that Songshi wasn't interested in Shisheng, so her smile became more genuine. Mingxue, come and eat. Sure, do you want to eat? Mingxue smiled at the person over there, then asked Songshi gently. You go first. I'm not that hungry. Qi Mingxue wanted to say something, but her eyes lingered between him and Shisheng. In the end, she didn't say anything. She was afraid that she would attract his attention if she said too much. After Qi Mingxue left, Songshi stood there without moving. Boss, look at what Gunan is doing. Su Jie had appeared beside him at some point, and asked him to look in the direction of the Shisheng. Songshi glanced in the direction of the Shisheng. She was standing on tiptoe as if to take down the picture hanging on the wall. It was a very strange painting. It was like a child's random doodle, with red and green colors mixed together. It was indeed strange for it to be hung in such a solemn place. Someone called out to Songshi. When he turned around to look, there was no one there. Shisheng took the painting back to Qingyu and the others and tossed it to Qingyu. Boss, what is this? National treasure? Lin Feng leaned forward to take a look. The corners of his mouth twitched. Boss, where did you find this child's doodle? Shisheng rolled his eyes at Lin Feng and turned to ask Qingyu. Where did you find that notebook? Oh, it was in the utility room over there. There are a lot of things in there. They look quite old. I don't know if the people here were too lazy to clean them up or what. Shisheng looked in the direction Qingyu was pointing. There was a small door that was half open. The light couldn't reach there, so it looked dark. According to Cheng Su's diary, the people here weren't allowed to take anything out. The things inside should have belonged to the people who had worked in this laboratory before. There were indeed a lot of things inside, but they were all small things. There were teacups, pillows, candy boxes, there were all kinds of things. Shisheng didn't find anything useful. When he went out, Chang Xian's show had already ended. He didn't know how Chang Xian had comforted these people, but they had all calmed down. Chang Xian seemed to want to cause trouble for him, but he was stopped by someone. He didn't know what that person said, but Chang Xian's face turned ugly. Then he looked at Shisheng and the others who were occupying one side of the laboratory. Shisheng glanced over and smiled in schadenfreude. Boss, what are you laughing at? Little Fatty was a blockhead. Other than eating enthusiastically, the rest of the time, he was just a blockhead. Seeing Shisheng's smile, he asked in a very wooden manner. Did you see that? Those people were probably bitten by zombies. They're probably going to turn into zombies. Shisheng hadn't finished speaking when Little Fatty cried out. Then aren't we dead for sure? Boss, I haven't eaten the braised pork trotters from Jinji restaurant. I don't want to die. He really wanted to kill this fatty. I hadn't even finished speaking, so why was he shouting? Don't worry. Even if you're going to be bitten by zombies, you'll be the last one to be bitten. Why? Little Fatty didn't understand. Shisheng laughed evilly. Because you have a lot of meat. You'll be the last one to be bitten. Little Fatty was speechless. Now wasn't the time to joke, boss. People were going to die. Boss isn't panicking, so why are you panicking? Didn't you see that there's a supernatural person with healing abilities over there? Lin Feng had always liked to bully Little Fatty. Naturally, he wouldn't hesitate to mock him. Little Fatty scratched his head and smiled shyly. Actually, I just wanted to eat something. Lin Feng was speechless. He was too serious in front of a foodie. Qi Mingxue was asked by Chang Xian to save the 3 people who had been bitten by zombies. These 3 people were ordinary people. If they were bitten, they would turn into zombies. Qi Mingxue was depressed. She didn't have any healing abilities. It was all because of her magical spring water. Moreover, she used to heal people in a separate space. Now that there were so many people, how could she take out the magical spring water? She had no choice but to spread the news. Previously, she had participated in a mission. If she didn't save them, they would all die. At that time, there were government officials in the mission. Naturally, she couldn't hide it. In the storyline, Shisheng didn't come to fight this stupid mercenary team. Not only did Qi Mingxue not participate in that mission, but she also didn't participate in this mission. That was why she didn't expose herself. Miss Qi, please save them. Qi Mingxue said awkwardly, Captain Chang, I haven't recovered my ability yet. I'm afraid. With Shisheng's words, Qi Mingxue didn't want to expose her magical spring water at all. The magical spring water did have the effect of improving one's ability. However, it was only effective for the first time. After that, the effect wouldn't be as great. Every time, she diluted it and gave it to others. Therefore, it didn't have any other effect except for dispelling the zombie poison. However, people were greedy now. She didn't know how many people would covet her magical spring water if it was exposed. Miss Qi, please save my brothers. I can give you anything you want. A supernatural person looked at Qi Mingxue pleadingly. Yes, Miss Qi. You're so kind. No one else can save them except you. Qi Mingxue's face turned pale. She looked at Song Shi for help. Mingxue needs a separate space to save people. She can't be disturbed. This place isn't suitable. I saw a storage room over there. We can use it. This rule had always been like this. They didn't have any other healing ability users, so they didn't know how to treat people bitten by zombies. Qi Mingxue needed a separate space to treat people, so no one found it strange. *Morning. Chapter 100. Shisheng took over the storeroom first. When they carried the girl over, Shisheng blocked the door. Gunand, what are you doing? Get out of the way. Chang Xian yelled angrily, and reached out to pull Shisheng away. Qing Yu and the others immediately stepped in front of Shisheng. F***CK. Can't you see that we're saving a life? Get out of the way. Shisheng's gaze swept over the three people who were being held down. Her eyes curved as she spoke. The healing ability users I've seen only needed to shoot out a beam of light to get rid of the zombie poison. What, your healing ability isn't the same? You need a separate space to do it? Qi Mingshua's face instantly turned pale. She had read the full text, so she naturally knew. Healing abilities would appear in the later stages. Just as Shisheng said, healing abilities would appear in the form of light. They just needed to land on a person's body, and it was very fast and convenient. How did you see people with healing abilities before? It's such a rare ability. That's right. Captain, if you're not convinced, come and fight. This is a critical moment. Can't you settle your grudges later? We're saving people, not fooling around. There are so many survivors in this world. How can Qi Mingxue be the only one who has a healing ability? Why? Besides. Shisheng raised his eyebrows and said with a hint of sarcasm, it's not certain if she has one. There were so many other types of abilities. Even if healing abilities were rare, there must be more than one person. Shisheng's words were not wrong. They could only look at each other in confusion. However, there were also some die-hard fans of Qi Mingxue who cursed. Their goddess was unique and had been chosen by God. As long as the die-hard fans were alive, the holy war would never end. Cousin, I've already apologized to you. You were the one who left on your own. This world is so chaotic that even if I wanted to look for you, I wouldn't be able to. Why must you slander me like this? Qi Mingshua's voice was filled with anger and grievance. Her hands were clenched tightly by her sides, and there was a murderous look in the depths of her eyes. Hey there, cousins. There must be a story behind this. It must be another pot of dog blood. Miss Qi wouldn't have such a relative. He's not even fit to carry Miss Qi's shoes. Shisheng glanced at the few people who scolded him the most and said slowly, I wouldn't dare to accuse you of slander. At most, I'm just suspicious. A smile hung at the corner of her mouth. Under the dim light. That smile was so eerie that even the group of men around her felt a chill run down their spines. His cursing voice involuntarily became softer. Shisheng continued. Since you claim that you are a healing paranormal, why don't you prove it to us here in front of so many people? Cousin, if you have any grievances, just take it out on me. There's no need to involve innocent people like them. Qi Mingxue wanted to say something but stopped. She had an exaggerated expression that said, I didn't do anything wrong to you. How could you hurt me like this? I'm so sad, but we're relatives. If you're heartless, I won't go back on my words. Shisheng rolled his eyes inwardly. Damn it. Why didn't the female lead enter the entertainment industry? Her acting skills would definitely be slandered. Although the female lead in the plot had a bit of a cheat and shamelessly stole the original female lead's things, she wasn't a White Lotus like you. Are you still going to collapse? I can't control my power anymore. Calm down, calm down. I can't kill the female lead. But it's really painful to use my brain. The others might not be so impulsive, but the three people's support team's emotions were stirred up. Someone directly started to attack. The metal-type ability user's metallic weapons flew towards Shisheng. Little Fatty immediately activated his ability and created an earthen wall around Shisheng. The metal weapons flew into the earth wall and slowed down. The earth wall had a certain thickness, so the metal weapons eventually sank into it. You really don't know what's good for you. Shisheng stopped Qingyu, who was about to attack them, and said in a gloating tone, If something goes wrong, don't blame me for not warning you. Here you can have it. Everyone was a bit confused by Shisheng's sudden change of heart. He gave it away just like that? But it was an emergency, so no one thought too much about it. They quickly carried them into the utility room. Shisheng carried White Tiger out and fed it a ham sausage as if nothing had happened. A girl and a cat, a peaceful scene. It was as if she wasn't the one looking for trouble just now. Shisheng's actions could be said to be extremely arrogant, but she had a limit. She stopped when you were about to explode. Although you really wanted to beat her up, you had more important things to worry about and couldn't spare the time to do so. Those who didn't have anything to do with her started to analyze. This little girl has some skills. Did you see how that fat guy attacked just now? His earth power seems to be of a higher level than ours. And it's very fast too. It's almost done in the blink of an eye. Then his level is higher than ours, right? The highest level of paranormal is level 3, right? Could he be a level 4 paranormal? The group of people looked at each other, and some fear rose in their hearts. Level 4. Looking at the level 4 zombies outside. They had no way to deal with so many of them. A level 4 paranormal shouldn't be any weaker than a zombie, right? Someone sighed. So there's a reason why he could climb to second place. It's because that little girl is too arrogant. Even I want to beat her up. The others agreed. They didn't want to beat her up. Songsher's group was also discussing, but of course he wasn't part of the discussion. His head was lowered, so no one could see the expression on his face. He didn't know why, but he felt that Shisheng's words had a deeper meaning. Healing power, and what she said at the end, don't blame her for not warning you if something happened. She should have some kind of trump card. Otherwise, she wouldn't dare to be so arrogant, Zhao Jing said honestly. In the post-apocalyptic world where killing wasn't illegal, someone without a trump card wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. If she really had one, then she was a complete idiot. But looking at that little girl, she didn't look like an idiot at all. That could only mean that she had a trump card. And that trump card was very awesome. It was enough for her to be arrogant in front of so many paranormal. When a person had the qualifications to look down on the world, they didn't need to look at anyone's face anymore. They were the masters. Even if she has a trump card, she's too ostentatious. The dark-skinned man shook his head. Who knows when someone stronger than her will appear? What if she doesn't fear anyone? How could there be such a person? Boss, were you the one who spoke just now? Sujie only reacted after he finished speaking. Songsher raised his head slightly, and his voice sounded distant. There are people who don't fear death. When you don't care about whether you will die or not, you won't fear death. You will live freely, and you will be the master. It was his father who had told him that. He didn't know why, but he felt that she was such a person. She didn't fear death, so she didn't fear anyone. Asterisk, there's a poll. Chapter 101. People who were not afraid of death were not people who were seeking death and had lost their purpose in life. They would not seek death. Instead, they would live a better and more carefree life than others. Qi Mingxue looked very weak when she came out, but the three people behind her were full of energy. They thanked Qi Mingxue sincerely and gratefully. Shisheng hugged the white cat and leaned against a lab table. He stared at Qi Mingxue with a strange expression. Qi Mingshue's spring water was not omnipotent. It was harmless to Qi Mingxue, but to other people, haha, just wait for the zombies to pay special attention to them. Qi Mingxue had not saved many people yet, and most of them were ordinary people. Those who had been captured by zombies naturally cherished their lives even more. They would not leave the safe zone casually, so they had not noticed anything wrong yet. After dealing with this, Chang Xian had time to discuss what to do with the others. They did not know if the level 4 zombie outside had left. If it had, they might be able to rush out. Isn't there a level 4 Earth ability user in the Bufu mercenary team? Let him go out and take a look. Someone suggested. Chang Xian frowned. Level 4? Isn't the strongest ability user now at level 3? How do you know he's at level 4? We were just guessing. His ability seems to be much stronger than ours. He probably won't agree. He had just fought with someone, and they had even surrounded him. They're still trapped here. It's not all for us. We have to try. We can't be trapped here forever, right? Even if we want to, we don't have enough food. In the end, they all agreed to let Fatty from the Bufu mercenary team go out and take a look. In order to prevent Shisheng and the others from disagreeing, Chang Xian gathered everyone together. It was obvious that he wanted to threaten them. Shisheng leaned against the lab table and looked at the group of people surrounding him. Qingyu and the other two had already stood up. Seeing that they were coming at them aggressively, they also became alert. Captain Gu, we're even now. Why don't we each take a step back and shake hands and call it quits? Chang Xian stood up as the representative. No need. Shisheng did not even look at Chang Xian. They are my men. Even if they want to die, I should be the one to send them to their deaths. The trio. Why did they feel so awkward when they should be moved? Chang Xian knew that Shisheng had overheard their conversation, and immediately changed his strategy. Captain Gu, do you want to be trapped here forever? Shisheng stroked White Tiger's back with one hand and looked indifferent. I won't be trapped here. If you beg me, maybe I'll be merciful and take you out. What do you think? Do you want to consider it? Chang Xian. Who the hell gave you such confidence? Captain Gu, don't be too arrogant. There are so many people here. No matter how strong the people who came to challenge you are, there are only 4 of them. Do you think they can overturn the situation? Why aren't you united at a time like this? Do you want to kill so many of us just because of your personal grudges? Shisheng jumped down from the lab table. Who said I was going to kill you? Didn't I ask you to beg me? Shisheng and Qimingxue only found out now that Shisheng was the leader of the mercenary team who came to challenge them. They hadn't been around when Shisheng's identity had been exposed. They only found out when Su Jia told them about the series of events that had transpired. She was actually the one who came to challenge them. It made sense. She was the only one who would use such a weird name. Qimingxue didn't know how to describe her feelings. She had stolen so many things from her, and had obtained several good opportunities ahead of time. Yet, she had still managed to establish her own mercenary team, and live a life of splendor. Was she really no match for the female lead? No. This was just the beginning of the apocalypse. As long as she snatched all the opportunities later on, she would definitely be able to defeat her. The negotiation ended on a sour note, and a fight almost broke out. In the end, Qimingxue stepped in to mediate. On the surface, she was speaking up for her arrogant and unruly cousin, but in reality, it made people dislike Shisheng even more. Shisheng did not say anything, and allowed Qimingxue to criticize him. However, Qingyu and the other 2 were indignant. Since you like her so much, let her find a way to bring you out. Anyway, I am not in a hurry. If these people had begged her before, even if they had pretended to beg her, she would have taken them out with a 90% chance. Chang Xian did not dare to open the door. No one knew what was going on outside. In the end, he sent a suicide squad of 4 people. However, after these 4 people left, there was no movement. This meant that the situation outside was not good. That level 4 zombie might still be outside. For a moment, everyone's faces were filled with gloom. Shisheng was much more relaxed than them. He ate and drank as he pleased. When he had nothing to do, he would look at that unknown painting. Qingyu and the other 2 also looked at it for a while. They did not see anything special about the painting, but their boss seemed to like it very much. 3 days later, Shisheng was still looking at the painting. Meanwhile, the people here were already arguing over food. They originally had a space ability, but after being separated from that space ability user, they only had enough food to last them a week at most. Those who did not have enough food were already starving. Splash! Shisheng rolled up the painting and drank the milk Qingyu had prepared for him. He bit on the straw and took 2 sips. Then he tilted his head and looked at the people in the lab. Let's go. Qianli should be almost done. The last 2 times Qianli leveled up, it took him 3 days. This time it should be about the same. We're finally going out. Lin Feng sighed. There was nothing to do here except eat and sleep. Then he would argue with the people opposite him. It was so boring. The 3 of them quickly put away their things. Their actions attracted the attention of the others. What are they doing? Do you think Gunan can really bring us out? This place is sealed. Didn't Captain Chang say that? Also, our Earth ability users have tried. The ground is welded shut. There's no way to get out. Even if that fatty is a level 4 ability user, there's no way he can get out of this iron wall. As the male lead, Shisheng was definitely smarter than these people. He woke up Su Jia and the others who were sleeping. Let's go over. Don't get too close. She probably won't chase us away. He had observed for the past 3 days. Sometimes their food would be placed carelessly. Even if someone took it away, they would not say anything. But if you wanted to snatch it, congratulations, you would have to lie on the ground. Gunan was a girl who did things without a plan. She seemed to do whatever she thought of, but in reality, she already had a plan in mind. Shisheng stood in front of the last wall and let Qingyu unroll the painting. When he compared the painting with the wall, he realized that the painting was actually engraved on the wall. The wall was silver gray and the engravings were very shallow. If one did not look carefully, they would not have noticed it. Boss, this? When did the boss find out? It seemed like she had already taken the painting when they first arrived. The door's password was hidden in the painting. Shisheng could not help but admire the intelligence of humans. Sometimes when it was high, it was actually quite scary. But sometimes when it was stupid, even the entire Milky Way could not save them. Chapter 102. It didn't take long for Shisheng to open the door. While Qingyu and the others were still admiring their boss, the door began to close again, twice as fast as when it was opened. Go in quickly. Shisheng pushed Qingyu and Lin Feng, who were at the front, into the room. She followed behind them and even dragged little Fatty along. Seeing this, Song Shi and the others immediately ran over, but they were too late. The door had already closed. There was no need to mention the others behind. This Gunan is too selfish. She only took her people and ran away. Humph. Do you think she can survive after getting out? She'll turn into a zombie sooner or later. She actually has a way to get out? TCH, we don't know what's inside. Don't be happy too early. There might be zombies. Regarding Shisheng's actions of running away alone, these people naturally condemned him. After condemning him, they began to curse him viciously. She left this painting behind. Someone picked up the painting from the ground. These days, she had been holding the painting and looking at it. At first, some people were curious and went around to take a look, but the painting was a mess of graffiti. They couldn't understand it at all. Can you let me see it? Qi Mingxue gently asked the person holding the painting. That person nodded, overwhelmed by the favor, and handed the painting to Qi Mingxue. Qi Mingxue raised the painting in front of Song Shi. Ah, sure, can you see anything? Oh my god, boss, there are more things in here than outside. Little Fatty said with a trembling voice, looking at the glass jars around him with a frightened expression. There were a lot of jars here. Some of them had half-human, half-zombie corpses inside, but some of them were empty. There was obviously more information here than outside. In 1959, after a heavy rain, someone found a corpse. It was a corpse that didn't decompose. The corpse was sent here and a research team was set up. The body in the lab had a mysterious gene that could keep the body from decomposing. Therefore, they started to do all kinds of experiments around the gene, trying to find out if it could be used on humans. The people in the jars were the results of the experiments. The experiments were finally stopped. After that, the experiment started again. The starting time was when Cheng Su added this project in her diary. The experimental data showed that not only did the body not decompose, but other than the fact that it did not breathe and had no heartbeat, it was no different from a human. So someone came up with a bold plan. They wanted to revive the corpse. That's all. Reviving the dead. That's just a fantasy, isn't it? Qingyu tossed down the document in his hand. Little Fatty asked. Then did they revive the corpse? I don't know. All the materials ended here. They were probably taken away. Where's boss? Qingyu looked around and finally saw Shisheng behind a glass tube. The three of them looked at each other and quickly walked over. There was a crystal coffin in front of Shisheng. The carvings on the coffin were also very strange. They looked like some kind of totem. Boss, is this a coffin? Why is there a coffin here? Shisheng squatted down and carefully examined the totems for a while. His frown deepened, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. She seemed to be in trouble. Qianli had a great background. She had seen the same totem on Qianli's shoulder as the one on the crystal coffin. She had thought that it was a tattoo Qianli got before he turned into a zombie. But that totem was really strange. She remembered it clearly. System, shouldn't you come out and say something? Did I hit the jackpot? Shisheng contacted the system in his mind. F***ck. Chung Su's diary had already given her a very bad premonition. Now it was great. She had directly found the source of the apocalypse. What was Qianli's background? A corpse that came back from the dead? What kind of strange background did this world automatically add? F***ck. Damn it. She did not want to take the complicated route of the plot. She had to use her brain again. Let her quietly act cool. Wasn't it good to be an idiot? Wasn't it good? The system does not comment on the host's hobby. Side missions are a qualitative upgrade. System. Do you think you can pretend not to be here just because you don't say anything? Shisheng's voice sounded like he was gritting his teeth. The system had no choice but to say something. Side missions are usually in the story mode. Most of the time they are related to hidden missions. Of course, the rewards are better than other missions. Also, side missions have a chance to unlock special items. Sure, give me a cheat first. Don't you have your own cheat? The system still did not understand the host's own dimension. Who knew how many things were in there? I brought it with me, and you want to confiscate it? Why don't you say that the entire universe is yours? Do you have any shame? The system felt that its host was about to explode. I don't have a cheat. Your character is too low. The system paused. But if you hand over that dimension, I can give you a cheat. Do you think I'm stupid? Shisheng scolded the system in one breath. Then he stopped talking to it. You want to exchange a cheat for my dimension? This system is even more whimsical than me. I strongly urge you to return it to the factory for repair. Of course, the system knew that it was impossible. If it did not say that, who knew how long this weird host would keep talking? It had to figure out the fact that the host had a dimension. Otherwise, the host would destroy the dimension sooner or later. Shisheng was filled with anger. Now he just wanted to find a place to vent it. Suppressing his anger, he asked White Tiger to put away the crystal coffin. This thing might be a tool. It was better to take it away. Even if it was useless, it looked pretty good. Qing Yu and the other two wanted to ask, but when they saw Shisheng's expression, they did not dare to ask. Boss looks so scary. They found a passage to the outside in this laboratory. It was probably a backup plan that the people in the laboratory left for themselves. As soon as Shisheng went out, the zombies outside were in trouble. Shisheng held the iron sword and slashed it wildly. Qing Yu and the other two were completely helpless. They felt that something was wrong with Boss's style. Was he in killing God mode? But they did not realize that Boss was so cool when he killed people. Every move was like a beautiful dance. Boss was so cool. What should they do if they fell in love with Boss? Then their boss had killed half of the zombies in D County. It really was half of D County. As long as there were zombies wandering on the streets, they were all killed by her. They finally witnessed Boss's strength. She was a moving killing machine in human form. After killing the zombies, Shisheng's anger subsided a little. The zombies she killed were all level 1 and level 2. They were easy to kill. However, she did not see any level 3 or level 4 zombies. Shisheng swung the iron sword. Qianli still had not come looking for her. Asterisk recommendation votes 1500 plus more. Chapter 103. Bang. The explosion came from the previous research institute, and a huge cloud of smoke rose into the sky. Shisheng stood on a pile of zombie corpses and looked up at the sky. Her expression was mocking, but her gaze was extremely calm. She was like an emperor standing on a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, looking down on thousands of worlds. Her aura was astonishing. It was dazzling. Qing Yu and the others were shocked by this scene for a moment, but they were quickly awakened by the explosion. Is that a helicopter? F***ck, those people are blowing up that research institute. The people inside, the helicopter left after the explosion. If they had flown a little further, they would have seen a very shocking scene. The streets and alleys were filled with zombie corpses lying on the ground. They definitely won't be able to survive this time. With such a big scene, that place should have been razed to the ground, right? Did the people of B City blow up that place because there was something inside that they absolutely couldn't let fall into the hands of others, or because they didn't want those who saw the things inside to come out alive? They were really ruthless. They didn't even let their own people go. Of course, this had nothing to do with her. Shisheng was now going to find her boyfriend. Bah, find the future zombie emperor. This county wasn't very big. After Shisheng's anger subsided, she didn't do much. She basically used her ability to swagger through the zombies. Qi Mingxue, Songshi, and the others were currently in a small building. It was more secluded here, and there weren't many zombies. It was safe for them to stay in the house. Songshi opened the door at the last moment, but because Shisheng didn't close the door when she left, some zombies had already entered. The level 4 zombie was also there. Before they could kill the level 4 zombie, it suddenly exploded. Although they escaped, one of their brothers died. As for the others, they didn't know if they were dead or had escaped. Now only Qi Mingxue, Su Jie, and Zhao Jing were left here. The black man was dead. He was also injured. But Qi Mingxue. Songshi narrowed his eyes and looked at the busy Qi Mingxue. When the photos exploded, he vaguely saw that she seemed to disappear for a while. She only reappeared after the explosion. Sure, drink some water. Qi Mingxue handed a cup of water mixed with spirit spring water to Songshi. Songshi lowered his head and took a sip, frowning slightly. This water was different. Ever since the water supply was cut off, the only water that could be drunk, other than the bottled water from before the apocalypse, was water from water ability users. However, neither of these two types of water was as sweet as this. Songshi calmly finished the water. Qi Mingxue was a little nervous. Previously, she didn't give Songshi any spiritual spring water. This man was very powerful. She was afraid that he would drink something different from the water. But now that they were all injured, if she didn't give them the spirit spring water, she didn't know when they would recover. The spirit spring water was indeed very powerful. By the second day, they had more or less recovered. Songshi looked at Qi Mingxue thoughtfully. There seemed to be many suspicious points about her. Boss, why do you keep staring at Sister Mingxue? Su Jie sat beside Songshi and teased. Have you taken a fancy to Sister Mingxue? Hee, if you ask me, you and Sister Mingxue are quite compatible. Look, Sister Mingxue is beautiful and powerful, but she's a little kind. But that's not a bad thing. If she's really a vicious woman, who would believe it? Shut up. Songshi coldly glared at him. Boss, don't be shy. If you like her, then go after her. You see, there are many people in the safe zone who like Sister Mingxue. If you don't seize this opportunity, there's no use crying over spilled milk. Songshi glared at him again. Su Jie immediately shut up, covered his mouth, and sat beside Zhao Jing. Zhao Jing's expression was a little strange. His gaze wandered between Qi Mingxue and Songshi. Shisheng searched D County but couldn't find Qianli. She had no choice but to return to B City's safe zone. Her 3 lackeys kept asking her, "Aren't you looking for your boyfriend? Was it really okay to leave him alone outside like this? Will he abandon you and find a beautiful female zombie?" These were all meaningless questions. I've already said it a few hundred times. That guy isn't I's boyfriend. I don't have a zombie boyfriend. Moreover, that guy ran away on his own. The world was so big, where was she going to find him? She didn't have a character tracking device like in other system novels. Qianli might have left long ago, but she was still looking for him like an idiot. Since he was the villain boss, he would come out sooner or later. On the way back, she saw Qi Mingxue, Songshi, and the others. As the male and female leads, she never thought that they would be killed by the explosion, so she wasn't surprised at all to see them. However, she didn't know what happened, but Songshi seemed to have a problem with Qi Mingxue. Su Jie was the only one left in the group. His other 2 team members were gone. When they escaped D County, they encountered a level 4 zombie. Qi Mingxue pushed Zhao Jing towards the zombie. It wasn't obvious at first, but Songshi, who had been paying attention to Qi Mingxue, happened to see it. He wanted to save Zhao Jing, but it was too late. He could only watch as Zhao Jing died in the hands of the zombie. When Songshi questioned her afterwards, Qi Mingxue only said that she was frightened at the time. After all, it was a level 4 zombie. Songshi naturally didn't believe it, so there was a gap between the two. As for why Qi Mingxue wanted to kill Zhao Jing, it was because Zhao Jing discovered Qi Mingxue's secret and threatened to tell Songshi if she didn't get together with him. In the storyline, Zhao Jing would betray Songshi and the others for Zhao Yan's sake in the later stages. However, Songshi and Qi Mingxue's relationship was already set at that time. Songshi also vaguely sensed Zhao Jing's disloyalty, so he didn't lose anything. However, it was different now. Zhao Jing still had a lot of weight in Songshi's heart, but Qi Mingxue wasn't that important. When they returned to the safe zone, Shisheng was waiting outside. He wasn't in a hurry to go in. Songshi and the others were taken away as soon as they went in. As expected, the safe zone was killing people to silence them. However, they didn't know how the male and female lead escaped this time. "Boss, you're so wise." The three of them admired Shisheng even more. If they went in just now, they would probably be treated the same way as Songshi and the others. It's obvious even if you use your toes to think. The safe zone even sent a helicopter to bomb the place. They definitely don't want people to know what they saw. The people in the safe zone probably wanted to take something, but they didn't expect that the level 4 zombie would lead to the discovery of the underground laboratory. Perhaps it was because Chang Xian's mission was to get something from the laboratory. He first sent a group of people to clean up the building. Then when he went to meet up with the others, he could take the opportunity to get what he wanted. However, he encountered a level 4 zombie, which was unexpected. In order to survive, he had no choice but to send people into the underground laboratory. Shisheng was actually very smart when he used his brain. Unfortunately, she preferred violence. Shisheng used his own name and pretended to be a survivor to re-enter the safe zone. There were no photos for identity registration, so it was easy to fool them. Moreover, there were 3 metahumans with him. Naturally, they couldn't go back to their previous place, so they had to find a new place to stay. Chapter 104. Apparently, when Songshi and the others were locked up, the entire Hurricane mercenary team was invited to have tea. Shisheng didn't have any more detailed information. After all, it was the military. Shisheng didn't have clairvoyant eyes and ears. It was impossible for him to know such detailed information. At this moment, she was already planning to steal the helicopter. Shisheng explained the plan to her 3 lackeys. Although they were a bit confused, they knew their boss was right. They would do whatever their boss told them to do. "Boss, we've observed them. They change shifts every hour. After that, they will check the surroundings. It's the easiest time to get in." Shisheng and his 3 lackeys were standing in the shadow of a building. Lin Feng was analyzing the situation for Shisheng. Shisheng leaned against the wall, stroking White Tiger's back from time to time. No one knew if he was listening to Lin Feng. When the shift was changing, they quickly ran in that direction. Taking advantage of the gaps in the patrols, they successfully arrived at the place where the helicopter was parked. Sitting in the helicopter, Shisheng suddenly remembered something important. "Do you know how to fly a helicopter?" Lin Feng was stunned. He stuttered. "Boss, you don't know? Wasn't their boss omnipotent? How could their boss not know how to fly a helicopter?" They hadn't even thought about this problem. "I can dismantle a helicopter," Shisheng said sincerely. F***CK, then what should we do? They had never thought about this problem before. "There seems to be someone over there. Let's go and take a look." Intruder. Alarm. Then the alarm rang throughout the airport. Countless soldiers with guns came in from outside and pointed at the helicopter Shisheng was in. "Come down from the helicopter or we'll shoot. Anyone who resists will be killed." A series of shouts echoed through the speakers in the airport. "Boss, you really don't know how to fly a helicopter? Why don't you just do it casually? You're so good. You'll know how to fly a helicopter after a few tries." "Casually fly a helicopter? Do you think you're eating?" Also, the helicopters here looked different from the ones she had seen before. Lin Feng pulled a long face. "We'll be shot into a sieve if we go down." Shisheng reached out and pressed buttons on the control panel. Although it wasn't the same, some of the icons were similar. Da-da-da-da. The group of people on the opposite side were hit by the sudden burst of bullets and fell down in a row like wheat. Boss. Qingyu called out. Wasn't this a provocation? Sheng had no idea that this thing was actually a combat helicopter, and she had coincidentally pressed the switch. I don't like them. How dare they point their guns at me? Sheng said indifferently. The trio. Boss, even if you say you won't, we won't laugh at you. At this moment, the people on the other side reacted and began to attack. Sheng pressed a few buttons and successfully started the helicopter. It was just that the car was crooked. The sound of bullets flying through the air was like hitting one's nerves. Qingyu and the other two nervously clutched their seatbelts. Boss's skills were completely unflattering. He didn't dare to take Boss's helicopter anymore. Since the bullets couldn't keep up, the other side actually sent out a psychic. All kinds of psychic powers greeted the helicopter. The helicopter was bulletproof, but psychic powers were much more powerful than bullets. In just 2 hits, the bulletproof glass shattered. Flames came in from the outside. Little Fatty hurriedly blocked it with an earthen wall to prevent Qingyu from being burned alive. The helicopter was moving, but it wasn't moving forward. Instead, it was moving backward. Sheng really didn't understand this thing. What the F***ck, the icon was completely different from the one he knew. How do I operate it? He quickly unfastened his seatbelts. Young people, activate your primitive power. Let's go on an unforgettable trip. The trio. Boss, speak human language. Oh, I'm going to run. Sheng said very calmly. Sheng took out a few purple balls and gave them to them. Don't blow yourselves up. You'll die a horrible death. In the end, he added, I'm not responsible for collecting the corpses. They had seen the power of this thing. One of them could blow up a large group of zombies and create a huge crater with a diameter of several meters. Now they were holding such a powerful weapon in their hands. Don't be excited. Don't be excited at all. Don't shake your hands. Don't blow yourself up. But, boss, how do we use this? Just throw it directly. The explosion range isn't fixed, so you have to throw it far away. Otherwise, it's very likely to affect you. What did he mean by the explosion range wasn't fixed? The explosion range wasn't fixed? These balls were all loaded by Sheng in batches. Naturally, they couldn't be distributed very evenly. The more energy there was, the more powerful the explosion would be. After saying this, Sheng pushed the door open and threw the ball out first. The violent explosion stopped the gunshots. Except for the crackling sound of lightning, the surroundings were quiet. The huge crater looming in the sky showed that Sheng wasn't lying. The explosion range was really different. The crater was at least twice the size of the one they saw last time. It cut the airport in half and destroyed half of the building. F***ck. The 3 of them followed Sheng down the plane. Sheng quickly ran to the airport and grabbed a truck. The military personnel at the back urgently contacted the safety zone and intercepted the car. With such a strong destructive power, they couldn't let them get away. What if they blew up the safety zone? What kind of bomb is this? Looking at the crater that was as big as a sinkhole, the mayor and the other people in charge of the safety zone looked at each other. The person in charge at the scene was scared. I'm not sure, but it was really scary. It was like something was pressing down on me. I didn't dare to look over there. After the explosion, there was purple lightning flashing in the crater. Lightning? Yes, the lightning was about the size of an arm, but it was a little different from the lightning here. The color was darker. Oh, someone recorded it. Show it to the mayor. Someone immediately handed over the video. It was the scene in the crater. In the empty crater, lightning flashed from time to time. It lasted for nearly 10 minutes before it disappeared. Have you checked it? The mayor stared at the crater in the distance. Yes, there's no radiation. It's just electrified. The worker immediately reported with a strange look. He had never seen a bomb that could make such a huge crater without any radiation. They had just experimented with it, and there was plenty of electricity inside. The specific data would have to wait for the next step of testing. We have to catch them. No matter who they were, they had to catch them. If they knew how to make such a bomb, they wouldn't be afraid of zombies anymore. The people in the safety zone tried to catch Shisheng, but Shisheng was bombed by 3 zombies along the way. He was already close to the gate of the safety zone. * Come and vote. Chapter 105. As they approached the gate of the safe zone, Shisheng was stopped. Ability users blocked their way, and behind them were soldiers with guns. Shisheng's car was stuck in the middle. Perhaps they were afraid of their strength, so they didn't attack. The 2 sides were in a standoff. Boss, there are too many ordinary people here. We'll hurt the innocent if we blow them up like this. Qingyu looked out the window and frowned. Later, you guys run around and find a place to build a base. We don't need too many people. But there's one thing you need to be able to accept. You should know what I mean. Boss, why did this sound a little weird? Take this. It's a storage space. You guys can bind it with your blood. The things inside should be enough for you to build the base. The 3 of them widened their eyes. A storage space? Boss even had this? Damn, was Boss sent by God to save the world? After the base is built, it's best to make it public. That way, it'll be easier for me to find you. Shisheng finished his words quickly. Is there a problem? The 3 of them were stunned. After a while, Qingyu reacted. Boss, you're not coming with us? Could they really build the base without Boss? It's not convenient to bring you guys with me. I'm going to the capital to do something. I'll come back when I'm done. I hope I can hear the name of your base in the capital. Fatty raised his hand weakly. Then what's the name of our base, boss? Of course it's the name of our mercenary team. Lin Feng's mouth twitched. Boss, can't you pick a normal name? He didn't dare to announce the name of the base to the public. In the end, Shisheng won. Shisheng put the white tiger into his backpack, got out of the car with the iron sword, stretched his neck, and rushed into the group of ability users with the iron sword. They probably didn't expect the fight to start without saying a word. Shisheng had the upper hand at the beginning. When the superpowered people realized what was going on, they attacked Shisheng with their superpowers. Shisheng's iron sword looked ordinary, but when it came into contact with the superpowered people's superpowers, the superpowered people's superpowers would be swung away by the iron sword. This situation caused a fire to rise in the hearts of the paranormals, and their gazes towards the iron sword became scorching hot. Gunan! Everyone stop. Several familiar figures walked out from the military. Shisheng paused, sheathed his sword and looked at them. The leader was Chang Exine. Beside him stood Father Gu and Mother Gu. It seemed like they had been coerced. Both of them looked panicked. TSK, so Captain Chang is still alive, Shisheng said with a sarcastic smile. You don't have a sanctimonious face for nothing. Even looking at Chang Exine now, people still felt that he was a good person. If he had died, Shisheng might have thought that he really didn't know anything. But he was still alive, and the people in B City had bombed that place. Those people must be dead. Chang Exine's expression changed, but he quickly calmed down. Gunan, it's better to surrender. Otherwise, your parents. Shisheng placed the iron sword in front of him and supported it with one hand. Parents? I haven't even found my own parents. Where did you find my parents? Chang Exine frowned slightly. He had investigated her as soon as he came back. These people were definitely her parents. Gunan, don't you recognize your own parents? Chang Exine shouted. Don't you understand human language? Shisheng rolled his eyes at Chang Exine. I'm just their adopted daughter. What kind of parents are they? Adopted daughter? Chang Exine didn't expect this answer. At most, he thought that Gu Nan was trying to confuse him. Little Nan, although we are your adopted parents, we have never mistreated you. Please don't do anything wrong. Father Gu hugged Mother Gu, who was so frightened that she went limp. His expression was sorrowful, as if Shisheng was unfilial. Do something wrong? What did I do wrong? Do you know that they want to kill me to silence me? You must be wondering why they want to kill me. That's because your adopted parents are still your parents. They raised you for so many years. Don't you have any gratitude? Chang Exine interrupted Shisheng. He couldn't let her say that. It's just a transaction of money. What's there to be grateful for? Besides, when the apocalypse started, they abandoned me and ran away. They didn't even close the door. If I wasn't lucky, I would have died. If it were you, would you be grateful to them? She wasn't Gu Nan. She didn't have any feelings for Father Gu and Mother Gu. Chang Xian didn't know about this and didn't know what to say. You can't use them to threaten me. Whether they live or die has nothing to do with me. Shisheng took out a few purple balls. When they saw the balls, the expressions of the people on both sides changed. This was the thing that blew up a lot of places. Its power was shocking. I don't want to play with you anymore. Do you want to move or do you want me to blow you out of the way? Shisheng tossed the balls casually. There are so many people here. Tife. If they die, won't the military drown in their spittle? Gu Nan, this is between us. It has nothing to do with ordinary people. Chang Xian quickly said. The last mission was to take something and weaken the strength of the mercenaries. Ordinary people were becoming more and more distrustful of the military and the government. If the mercenaries were allowed to grow, sooner or later, they would be in trouble. Oh, if that's the case, why did you catch them? Let them watch. How did you catch me? Please, when you speak, can you think about what you've done? Do you think I'm a patriotic person? Chang Xian was speechless. Move out of the way. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Shisheng was about to throw the balls. Gu Nan, don't be impulsive. Move out of the way. Hurry. Little Nan. Father Gu looked at Shisheng in disbelief. My mother asked you to take care of me and gave you so much money. But how did you take care of me all these years? There's a saying that goes, if you take someone's money, you have to do things for them. I believe that with my mother's ability, she wouldn't have given you a small amount of money. You can choose not to give me your feelings, but you shouldn't be so harsh on me. Shisheng paused and slowed down. Gu Nan died when the apocalypse started. Gu Nan died when the apocalypse started. This sentence lingered in Father Gu's ears like a demon's voice. Shisheng didn't look at Father Gu anymore. He went back to his car. The person inside was gone. He must have escaped during the chaos. Shisheng drove the car safely to the gate. However, when he opened the door, there was a sudden scream from the top of the city wall. Then there was chaos. From Shisheng's position, he could see the outside of the safe zone. Asterisk, want to add more? Vote _ monthly votes and recommendation votes. Chapter 106. On the horizon, a black mass was approaching the safety zone at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, they could see clearly what those moving things were. Zombies. Black mass of zombies. The entire safety zone was ringing with a level 1 defense alarm. The people who were about to open the door for Shisheng did not dare to do so. They immediately closed the second and third iron gates. The people who were queuing up to enter the safety zone saw this and began to knock on the outermost gate. The staff members who were unable to retreat in time were captured by the angry people. They wanted to use them as a threat. However, the safety zone would not open the gate for a few staff members. Not only that, but the other gates were also closing in an orderly manner. Shisheng was blocked between the third and fourth gates. The distance between the gates was not wide, only a few meters. There were still some people who had just entered the safety zone and did not have time to enter. However, these people were not as agitated as the people outside. After all, it was the third gate, which was relatively safe. Chang Xian and the others were blocked behind the fourth gate. Chang Xian was quickly called away, leaving only a few people to look after Shisheng. Shisheng got out of the car and stood on top of the car to look outside. Was this a siege of zombies? That was not right. The siege of zombies did not happen so early in the storyline. At that time, the zombies were still in the stage of lacking intelligence. They had not evolved to the point where they could command zombies to siege the city. When they came online, it was almost a year after the apocalypse. Where did this group of zombies come from? The iron gate was very high, but it did not have a ceiling. Shisheng stepped on the roof of the car and jumped onto the gate, nimbly climbing up the wall. The people who were watching Shisheng suddenly panicked. Some people even shouted to stop him. However, the people above were very busy. Shisheng was also very fast. He disappeared from their sight after a few flashes. Looking from the wall, the scene in the distance was even more shocking. It was as if dark clouds were covering the city. It was very frightening. The heart-wrenching cries of the survivors below suddenly made people feel sorrowful. They had gone through a lot to reach the safety zone. But at the last moment, they were locked outside the safety zone. They stopped. Strange, what are they doing? The people on the city wall were nervous at first, but when they saw the zombies suddenly stop and part for them, they were puzzled. The army of zombies parted to form a path in the middle. Then metal-powered zombies paved a golden path from afar, which extended all the way to the city wall. This immediately made the people on the city wall nervous. However, the commander-in-chief didn't make a move, so they didn't dare to attack. They could only watch helplessly as the golden road stopped somewhere below the city wall. And Shisheng was standing on top of it. She had only suspected it a moment ago, but now she was almost certain. It was the zombie emperor, who had run away from home. Only he had the ability to command so many zombies, and only he could summon so many zombies without attacking. What are you doing? The zombies over there aren't attacking. Why do they seem to be under someone's command? The man murmured in a low voice, but the hearts of the people who heard him suddenly jumped. Someone is giving orders. The paranormals were getting stronger, but so were the zombies. Moreover, if the paranormals and zombies were at the same level, the zombies were obviously more powerful. Before they became zombies, they were all humans. It was not impossible for a high-level zombie to command a low-level zombie. After the golden road was paved, the neatly dressed zombies began to walk down the road in two lines. It looked like they were lining up to welcome someone. Perhaps the zombies' behavior was too strange, but the people in the safe zone didn't take any measures. They just watched the zombies walk to the city wall. During this time, the paranormals who didn't enter the safe zone attacked them, but they didn't fight back. When they fell, the zombies behind them would immediately replace them. They were like welcoming guests, standing on both sides of the road with their heads lowered. They didn't attack at all, and were as quiet as statues. The whole place was silent. Shisheng didn't know where Qianli was. She didn't see him. However, she liked this welcoming ceremony very much. It was extravagant and shocking enough. Shisheng supported her chin, and looked down with some distress. How should she go down to make it look more eye-catching? She didn't have any awesome superpowers, so she couldn't make some cheap special effects. Nan! A clear voice exploded in Shisheng's ears. The young man was wearing a clean white sweater, black casual pants, and sneakers. He had a head of slightly curly hair, and a pure smile on his fair and clean face. His eyes were as clear as a lake, rippling with layers of ripples. Shisheng was blinded by this pure young man. Was this really the future zombie king? Why did it feel like he was an elf? There must be something wrong with the way he opened it. The zombie emperor had to be super cool. Shisheng blinked a few times, but the young man in front of her didn't change at all. He still looked as pure and innocent as before. Nan, I'm here to welcome you. The zombie king grinned, and the smile in his eyes was about to overflow. You can talk. Have you recovered your memory? Shisheng curiously touched Qianli's face. It was very smooth, like touching silk. Qianli allowed Shisheng to touch and pinch his face, but the smile on his face didn't fade. Leave. I don't like it. Shisheng tilted his head. Qianli frowned and thought for a while, then slowly spat out a few words. This place is not good. He spoke very slowly, as if he was thinking about every word carefully, but his voice was very pleasant to the ears. It was as clear as spring water, and it was very comfortable to listen to. It didn't seem strange that he spoke so slowly. He probably meant that he didn't like this place and wanted her to leave with him. Shisheng wanted to leave this place anyway, so he didn't have any objections. Qianli smiled innocently and carried Shisheng onto the golden road. The people on the city wall were shocked to see someone suddenly appear on the road. She walked on the road, but the zombies didn't attack her. Instead, they slowly followed her and surrounded her as she walked towards the zombie army. Who are they? Why aren't the zombies attacking them? It's Gunan. Chang Xian was the first to recognize her, and then his face turned pale. Gunan? When did she go down? She didn't bring these zombies here, did she? Gunan. This name was not unfamiliar to some of the higher-ups. She was the leader of the unyielding mercenary team, and in a month's time, she had pushed her ranking below the Hurricane mercenary team. Most importantly, she and her team were the only survivors of the D County incident. Other than Shi Sheng and the others, she and her team were the only survivors. Not long ago, this woman had taken out that strange bomb and turned the safe zone upside down. Now she was actually with the zombies. Kill her. Don't let her leave alive. The mayor of the safe zone gave the order. * 1800 recommendation votes plus updates. Chapter 107. In that battle, B City lost countless high-leveled mutants and suffered even greater losses. The zombie army retreated safely and didn't even manage to touch the clothes of the person they wanted to kill. For a long time after that, the people of B City lived in fear. There was a woman who could control zombies and had a grudge against the safety zone. They were afraid that she would return with zombies. After being on tenterhooks for more than a month, they finally calmed down when the zombies didn't surround the city. At this time, Shi Sheng was already on the outskirts of the capital. He was with a group of zombies. Roar! A level 5 zombie placed a piece of fresh meat that was still dripping with blood in front of Shi Sheng and looked at him carefully. Shi Sheng. I really don't eat human meat. Qianli had many high-leveled zombies around him. The high-leveled zombies that went missing in D County were probably all here. Along the way, Qianli had subdued many zombies. One of them was a level 5 zombie, which was the one that was giving him human meat. The low-leveled zombies ignored Shi Sheng when they saw her, but the level 3 to level 4 zombies didn't. They all looked like they wanted to attack but were afraid of her. Only this level 5 zombie tried to curry favor with her whenever he saw her. Whenever there was something delicious, he would give it to her first before giving it to his boss, Qianli. She asked Qianli before, and he said that he didn't let the level 5 zombie curry favor with her. Qianli, Shi Sheng called out to a distance. Qianli's figure instantly appeared beside her. When he saw the bloody meat on the ground, he didn't even need to say anything and teleported it away. Then he roared at the level 5 zombie. A trace of confusion flashed through the level 5 zombie's eyes. It seemed to be wondering why Shi Sheng didn't like the food it found. It was so fresh, but it had traveled so far to find such fresh food. The level 5 zombie looked at Shi Sheng and then at his boss. Finally, it stood up and squatted beside him like a child who had done something wrong. A level 5 zombie's IQ was equivalent to a 3 or 4-year-old child. Its flesh and blood had returned to normal, but its skin was still green and looked very strange. What's wrong with it? Shi Sheng pointed at the level 5 zombie. He likes the smell on your body. Qianli's speech was already smooth, but it was still a bit slow. The smell of my body. She had been on the road recently, so she didn't have time to take a shower. Even the smell on her body was sour. Did zombies have such weird tastes? Qianli seemed to have realized that Shi Sheng had misunderstood. He pulled her hand into his mouth, and his tongue swirled around her fingertips. Shi Sheng instinctively used his ability, and Qianli's face immediately revealed a look of enjoyment and bliss. So this was what he was talking about. F***CK. Does this Baobao's ability really have a special effect on zombies? Are zombies really going to chase after me in the future? This was the zombie version of Tripitaka's meat. I Baobao refuse. Shi Sheng walked up to the level 5 zombie and used his superpower in front of him. A palm-sized black flower bloomed on his white fingertip. Its petals overlapped like a blooming peony. When Shi Sheng used his superpower, the level 5 zombie's green face revealed an expression of yearning and desire. He looked exactly the same as when she had first met Qianli. Shi Sheng put the flower in front of his mouth. The level 5 zombie carefully looked at his boss. Sensing the threat in his boss's eyes, he shrunk his neck and didn't dare to eat it. However, the desire in his eyes grew stronger and stronger. Shi Sheng noticed his actions and turned around to glare at Qianli. He directly fed the flower into the level 5 zombie's mouth. You don't have to give me food in the future. I don't like that kind of food. Shisheng emphasized the word food. The level 5 zombie, who was digesting his superpower, didn't hear him clearly and only heard the word food. The next day, Shisheng saw that there was twice as much fresh food as yesterday. I really don't eat human flesh, F***ck. The level 5 zombie waited for Shisheng to praise it, but there was no praise. It was beaten up by Qianli. It didn't know how Qianli communicated with it, but it didn't give Shisheng any food after that. Instead, it gave him some strange toys. It was impossible to bring zombies into the capital, so Shisheng only brought Qianli with her. The 5th stage zombie reluctantly followed behind them. After following them for quite a while, it was only after Qianli roared a few times that the zombie turned around and disappeared in a few moments. Shisheng drove a car that wasn't too shabby and slowly approached the base. It was already half a year after the apocalypse, but there were still many people coming to the base. This time, there was no one else's superpower to cover him, so Shisheng could only line up obediently. However, before she even entered the base, she heard rumors about herself from some people. There was also a warrant for her arrest in the capital base. The pixels captured by the camera were a little distorted and her face was blurry. Although it was difficult to distinguish her, she could still make out some details if she looked closely. There was definitely a connection between the base and the large safe zone. The B-City safe zone had made a good move. However, this wasn't a problem for Shisheng. Qianli summoned some zombies nearby to create some chaos in the base, and Shisheng took the opportunity to sneak into the base. There were checkpoints and checks later, so Shisheng directly asked White Tiger to throw zombies out of its space. Shisheng sighed for the first time. It turned out that White Tiger had foresight. This strange phenomenon naturally attracted the attention of the base, but Shisheng avoided the cameras every time. It was as if the zombies appeared out of thin air. These zombies did appear out of thin air. There was no information about their identities in the base's system. This situation immediately attracted attention, and the number of patrols on the streets doubled. The capital base was divided into 3 groups. The military and the government each had 1/3 of the base. The remaining 1/3 was in the hands of the big families in the capital. These big families had a deep foundation, whether it was in terms of manpower or resources. When the apocalypse first broke out, they mobilized their forces and gathered large amounts of resources. After the base was established, they quickly occupied a leading position. One of these families was the Chung family, and they were the leader of the alliance. However, Shisheng felt that these families couldn't have gathered resources after the apocalypse. If the government and the military were willing to give up a part of their power, how much resources must they have? Perhaps they already knew something about it. In the storyline, when the heroine cleared this dungeon, the Chung family was only briefly mentioned. Shisheng patiently observed outside the Chung family's mansion for a while. He also asked some people and confirmed that this was the Chung family she was looking for. There were very few people going in and out of the mansion every day. The most common person was the current head of the Chung family, Chung Song. He was Chung Su's brother. When Chung Song entered the study, he immediately felt that something was wrong. He quickly retreated outside, but a young man suddenly appeared behind him. The young man raised his hand and pushed him inside. There was a soft sound of the door closing behind him. Chung Song panicked for a moment, but he quickly calmed down. There weren't many people here, but in fact there were people in the dark. The office chair that was facing away from him slowly turned around. The young girl's face jumped into his vision. His breath suddenly stopped, and his pupils constricted. * monthly ticket 50 plus more. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.